Wait, hold on. I just read this message in chat.
No.
Destiny and Doobie won't respond to my question because they both know I'm right. I just called Destiny out for peddling Western propaganda, and he won't respond.
The Xinjiang re-education centers are just to teach the Uyghurs like how to speak Mandarin and basic life skills.
Wait, then why are they like
they're
separating them from their kids and shit?
Because it's easier to order them that way, all right?
Wait,
like,
you realize you sound like a fucking lunatic, right?
Do you have any conditions, requirements, anything that you don't want to talk about? Anything at all?
Just no ultra boring questions. If somebody wants to ask me, like, what's your opinion on how vegetarian utilitarian ethics impacts the green blood? Just like, please just keep me away from me. But otherwise, I don't care. If I don't want to talk about something, I'll just tell somebody. But otherwise, I'm open for everything, so fuck it.
Okay, cool. You ready to go?
Throw me in, Chief.
Why did you say that we should give child porn to pedophiles when 93% of pedophiles are also attracted to adults? Don't you think that the numerous therapy sources for pedophiles, which involve consuming legal pornography, are a better way to decrease child rape?
I don't know what the best way is to make pedophiles non-offending pedophiles. I've never said that we should give child pornography to pedophiles.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
There's a YouTube video that's still up on your channel.
So you don't have to remind me of my own prior YouTube videos. Believe it or not, I was there. So what I said in a conversation where I argued in favor of age of consent, because a lot of people don't seem to understand why we don't fuck children, is that I think at one point in time, somebody emailed me a bunch of studies saying that it's possible that old child pornography could be commissioned in the course of treatments for pedophiles or whatever. I don't know if that would work or not. I said that if that was the case, I'm generally in favor of less children getting raped than virtue signaling a position on Discord or Twitter. Are you in favor of child rape?
Is this my AMA?
No, I'm just asking you if you're in favor of children getting raped.
Obviously not.
Okay, if old child porn could be used to prevent future children from being raped, would you be in favor of that or against that? Just curious.
Not necessarily, because
so you are in favor of child rape.
It would increase the market for it. How can you claim?
I'm just asking you a super simple question. Are you in favor of child rape? If you could commission old child porn, so old child porn, not stuff made new. You obviously wouldn't use anything new. But if you could use old stuff for pedophiles and they wouldn't rape future children, would you be in favor of that or would you be against that?
No.
So you're pro child rape. What's the next question, Dubes?
Oh my God!
I don't like talking to people that are like pro child rape. It's like really weird, especially on Discord where there are so many like, pedophile communities out here. Yeah. Okay. What's the next question?
Okay. Next question. It's gonna be from Tigor. Tigor, you are unmuted. Go for it.
Hello, Destiny. This is kind of a little bit of a loaded question, so I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Do you believe? Hold on. Let me just pull up the question first. I don't have the note in front of me. Here we go. Do you believe that there is a split in the Democrat and Republican parties that is accelerating the shift toward extremism? And do you ever believe that a moderate candidate such as Joe Manchin or Larry Hogan will ever win in the future?
I mean, moderate candidates seem to win in moderate or split districts. I mean, obviously there's a divide in the Republican and the Democratic Party right now. The answer to that is yes for both, of course. Did you want me to elaborate more on that, or did you want me to say anything more? Or?
Sure. And I also wanted to ask a follow-up question on this as well. I forgot to add this in. Now that we're heading into the 2022 midterms, and we are seeing a split in both the Democrat and Republican Party on their respective sides, who do you believe is in a better position to win in 2022, given that both sides are split between ideologies?
It's impossible to say. It's going to depend on how Biden's first year or two goes out. If he manages to get a bunch of like great policies passed, then I mean it would fare probably pretty well or bode pretty well for 2022. But if if they go in and they don't get really much done, and then I mean generally when new presidents come in, they usually lose at least like one half of Congress. They could lose everything, and then it wouldn't matter. So yeah, I don't know. Like Biden's literally not even in office yet. I can't possibly make that prediction. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Tigor.
Wait, okay,
Next
and then hold on. Can I just hold on? Because this guy is
sure.
like super fucking ass mad in the AMA discussion. So let me just give some quick background, because a lot of people for some reason are obsessed with like trying to nail me on this. I've figured out that like the projection shit is real, and there's like a ton of like wannabe child and kitty fuckers on Discord, and they're like obsessed over debating these topics. So I had a conversation a long time ago with a guy called Amos Yee, because I noticed that he was making the rounds in the skeptic community where he was like debating people on whether or not like 50-year-olds should be able to fuck 3-year-olds. And when I was listening to skeptics argue against him, I noticed that nobody has any fucking idea why we actually have like age of consent. Like people had no idea like why it's generally not good for really old people to fuck people that like don't have like half developed brains. So I had a debate with Amos Yee, and in the course of that debate, I had one question that he asked me. So in this 2-hour debate, I'm arguing in the affirmative for age of consent. And in one of the questions that he asked me is, do you ever think there's ever a purpose where child porn can serve like a positive function? And somebody had emailed me a really weird hypothetical from months before, I think. And they had said that it might be possible in the course of treating pedophiles to prevent them from actively offending. So raping children, you can take old child porn that had been produced prior to any treatment, so you wouldn't be incentivizing the creation of new child porn, and then with the consent of an ethics board, and then with reaching out to people who had been the product of said child porn to get their consent for it, that it's possible to use tools like that potentially to get pedophiles to not rape children. And my contention was that if that was the case, and this has numerous problems, is one, I don't think you would ever get this by an ethics board. Two, you potentially re-traumatize a person by even just approaching them and asking them, hey, can we use old porn where you got raped as a kid if we can use it in therapy, which sounds unbelievable. And then three, there's no proof at the moment that that type of treatment would even prevent people from raping children. But I said that given all those conditions were met, I guess it's possible that maybe stuff like that could be used in a positive manner. But I don't really know. I don't think that there's any research whether it shows it. But that was my entire position on that. He's linking the video in chat. You can go and watch my entire position on this. The idea that like I want to give like child porn to pedophiles, as exciting as that makes people like Aiden, I've like never blatantly just said that. That's such an incredibly stupid position. I don't know why you think that somebody like me that's been involved in like a million different conversations like this would literally come out and say like, it would literally just come out and say like, oh yeah, we should give child porn to pedophiles. Like it's such a stupid position. From what I've read, apparently men that are given access to child pornography have a higher chance of not actually committing pedophilic actions in real life. And I would argue that that would be a moral good, that if you can prevent people from acting on those urges, that's something that should be explored for sure in a responsible environment. But I would have to make sure that that data is 100% accurate. Yeah.
Right. So you're pretty open to the possession of child pornography.
Well, not like the mainstream like production of and recruiting children to create it.
Oh.
And then the stat that he opens with, where 93% of pedophiles are attracted to adults, is like such a stupid point that it doesn't matter anyway. I don't care how pedophiles are attracted to adults or not. I just want pedophiles to not rape children. But anyway, that's like the full context in that quote. And for some reason, people like to come on and pretend that they can like ambush me with the question of like, why do you want to give like pedophiles child porn or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But that's like the entire context on that thing. It's a really dumb discussion. I don't think that if you honestly approach it, I don't think anybody even disagrees, because most people generally don't want kids to get raped, or at least I don't want children to get raped. So like it's a pretty simple like conversation. It's just most people's minds get fucking blown in even entertaining the concept because they're so incapable of engaging with a topic that makes them uncomfortable, which is fine. I just don't know why you would pretend to be capable of talking about it with me on a Discord. But there you go. That's the entire context of that. All right.
Thank you. Zeus, you're up. Go for it.
Yeah, so I think this is pretty relevant considering the political violence we've seen from now to last year.
Mm-hmm.
So last year during the BLM riots, you talked about wanting right-wing Boogaloo boys to intervene. Do you still stand by those
right-wing
statements?
Boogaloo boys what?
To intervene, to like stop the whole like rioting, burning down the streets and stuff like that.
What I said was that if private businesses were being attacked, I'm a very big supporter of property rights, and I personally, I break with the left here, I like the Second Amendment. I'm personally like a big supporter of people being able to defend their stuff. If people's property is being attacked, I support people's right to defend that property. Like it's a pretty simple one. I don't know why that became such a controversial position, but I don't think that's that controversial of a position. People's businesses oftentimes represent their livelihood, their ability to put themselves and their children through, like school or provide for their families. Like, I don't think it's super crazy to say that like you shouldn't be allowed to defend your property. The same way that people would support, the stereotypical image of the of like the Koreans defending their properties during the LA riots. I mean, like, I don't think that that's that crazy of a position to take. Yeah.
Right, but you called on militias to enact though.
I didn't call on anyone. So I think the exact quote was that if dipshit protesters want to burn down buildings past 10 p.m. and people want to show up and defend it or whatever, I think they have my blessing or whatever. It's like the most hyperbolic version of that quote. But generally what I was saying is that if people want to show up and defend other people's businesses or whatever for private property, then yeah, I have no problem with that. I don't call for people to go and do anything. In fact, if you listen to the multiple videos, God, I fucking hate the gotchas, dude. It's so gross. If you listen to every conversation I've ever had about this, I explicitly say multiple times for Rittenhouse, Rittenhouse. And you can go back and watch the fucking video, even though I know you haven't. You've probably only seen 20-second clips. If you go watch the video, I say multiple times, it's usually never, ever, ever worth throwing your life away to defend your own property, let alone somebody else's property. And I multiple times have said people like Rittenhouse, despite the fact that I support his right to do what he did, how fucking stupid would you have to be to drive to another fucking city and show up and risk killing people or getting killed to protect somebody else's business? It's just not worth it. That calculus is never in your favor. It's so stupid to do it. I've said that a million times. It seems like you're interested in shitting on one side of the situation. Do you have anything to say about the shooter being stupid? Bye. Goodbye. I'm banning you because I've literally said multiple times that the shooter is a fucking moron. I've literally said it multiple times. But you can't hear it. You can't hear me saying it because you're so emotionally invested in this. You so want to be anti anything having to do with cops or anything having to do with anti-predator, anti-writers, that all you can possibly hear is criticism of your one side, okay? I can't think of anything more cucked in my entire fucking life than getting a gun and going to another state to put your life on the line to protect the property of some guy that probably makes 10 times more than your entire fucking family does, okay? I can't think of anything dumber or more cucked than that, okay? Unless you're getting paid for it, all right? I'm not defending the shooter running across to some other fucking state so that he can live out his LARPing zombie killing fucking fantasies, all right? The idea, like, you're never going to find a clip of me calling for somebody to go and kill anybody like that. Like, it just doesn't play out very well generally. It's usually just not a very, like, EV plus thing to do.
Thanks for clarifying.
Cool. Okay. Next question is from Esoteric Canola Oil. The question is, what is your position on affirmative action? And do you consider racial prejudice, since it also affects Asians getting into college just because they have statistically score higher on average?
I think that there are positive ways that you can integrate affirmative action into different institutions in order to make it, like, overall beneficial to society. And I think that there are negative ways that you can implement it in a way that is probably detrimental to society. So, for instance, I think that, let's say, for instance, you have a college that accepts like 1,000 students, and let's say that they have like an extra 100 that they'll accept on like special measures. I believe this was the case. Now, the figures are I don't know what the exact figures are, but I think this was the case with Harvard. And I think this is why they won their case, is because I think it was like, somebody is going to know this because you guys obsess over like affirmative action and race shit. But I think it was like something like 98% of people accepted to Harvard are accepted on merit or something. And then they have like a special like wiggle room where they have like special acceptances for people that are like family of staff, for people that are like athletic people. And then for here, they might say like, oh, like we would like to draft in a few people that might not have gotten otherwise of certain races or whatever. If you want to implement affirmative action in like that type of way, then I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing in the world. I think that's okay. Having representation on those higher fields is okay. I think there are responsible ways to do it. But if you're just like blanket saying, like I think it was in California, I think recently they tried to say they were either trying to pass like a proposition or something where they were like every single board should have like one female on the board or every single something like that. I think that's kind of stupid. I like when it's that aggressive, I think that's really dumb. But I think that there are good and bad ways to do affirmative action. It just comes down to the individual policies.
Cool. Okay, next question is from Exotic. The question is, what do you think the chances are for Trump being removed from office via the 25th Amendment? If those fall short, do you think the impeachment is a viable option, or that we should just wait until Inauguration Day?
I mean, I've been saying over and over again that I don't think the 25th is not happening. I really don't think impeachment will happen, although they are maybe proving me wrong. I feel like there's just not enough time. But I mean, like they're trying to run down that impeachment thing as quickly as possible. I guess they have like a week and a half left. Maybe they could, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay, next question is from Monkey. How long do you think it will take for the Republican Party to recenter themselves around normal conservatism?
I have no fucking idea. The whole Trump, the Trump thing was initially like a tumor where it was just like growing out of the side of the Republican Party, but now it's become like a metastatic cancer, or a metastasized cancer that's like taken over like huge swaths of the Republican Party. I don't know what this break is going to do to the Republican Party. Like, it's entirely possible that the Republican Party is just fucking destroyed for the next decade. It's hard to say. I don't know.
Okay. Next question is from Dexter Morgan. Do you believe the alt-right will continue to grow in America?
I don't think the alt-right was ever that big. I don't know how much bigger it'll get. They're not like, I don't think it's like that. I don't think anybody cares about the alt-right. I think that they're not very relevant. I think that people like made a huge deal about them for a little bit. I think they're very relevant online, kind of like the online like commies and socialist dipshits are. But like in the real world, I don't know if the alt-right is necessarily as influential as we give them credit for being. Now the QAnon people and whatnot can be a little bit scary. I think they have one, was it federal legislator that they got elected? But Yeah, I think right now we're more worried about like just the Trumples than like the alt-right.
Okay, actually, I have a question for myself. So, have you seen like, because I know that you're like kind of, you've been on the ground doing politics and whatnot. Have you seen like any shift in the Republicans and Republicans that you've spoken to or interacted with since the thing that happened on the Capitol? Because I've actually, like in my like just like my own anecdotal experience, right? Like my father was very pro-Trump, very very Republican, so long as I've known him. And when the Capitol thing happened, he went from like loving Trump to thinking Trump is like the worst thing ever, irresponsible. Wants him arrested. He just like totally flopped. Like, have you seen any of that?
I have not, but there's a poll that got posted that I thought was really positive, that a lot of people think is really negative. There was a poll posted that showed that like, I think it was like 45% of Republicans supported the raid on the Capitol. And a lot of people were like really abhorred by that. Like, oh my God, like there's so many. But I actually thought it was pretty positive because historically Trump has had like ultra fucking high approval. And if only half of Republicans support the Capitol shit, maybe that means that opinion is slowly, finally changing on Trump. Maybe, possibly, but it's hard to say. That guy has carried ultra fucking high approval throughout like his entirety in like his administration. So even in these final months, I think the last numbers I saw was like 88% or 85% or whatever. And then before that, it was consistently in the 90s.
Okay. Next question is from Czar. Go for it.
Hello?
You
Can you hear me?
gnome fuck!
Yeah,
Hello?
I can hear you.
All right, perfect. I don't necessarily know what your knowledge is, at least in philosophy, but I genuinely wanted to see what your opinion was on it. So there's a few people, at least in academia, who've posited an argument that goes somewhat like this. The idea is that the philosophical like underpinnings that kind of underpin like areas of the far left, so mostly just like far left progressives, in the sense that they're identitarians, kind of like going ostensibly like people who would end up being like BLA, black identitarians, racial separatists, things of that nature. There's a theory that's been kind of going around saying that they all pretty much kind of link between themselves, the far right, fascists, commies. They all have a bit of like a common link in Hegelianism. Do you have any opinions on that, or
not only, first of all, fuck German people and Hegel and Kant and all that shit, okay? So I don't even know enough about that shit to even say that. Secondly, so because I don't know enough about that, I don't know if I can like adequately answer your, I don't know if I can answer the question. Yeah, sorry. I think that sometimes, I don't know if this question will sound dumb or not, or this answer will sound dumb or not. I think that people give people sometimes too much credit for like philosophical underpinnings. I think that people's like base drives to do shit are usually like way more simple than like Hegelian shit. Like I would posit that less than like 0.001% of anybody that calls themselves a progressive or whatever is Hegelian. And then I would also challenge people's words sometimes exactly on what they mean when they say things like identitarian, for instance. Like identities are important throughout the entire political sphere to both sides, like in an incredible number of ways. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess that might just be a semantic scam or defining the words carefully. Yeah, but.
Oh no, that's fine. That was a more than sufficient answer. Thank you anyway, boss.
Okay,
appreciate it.
Cool. Okay, next question's from PKXO. Go for it.
Hey, Destiny.
Hi.
In 2009, the Special Olympics ran a campaign called Spread the Word to End the Word to raise awareness of the hurtful nature of the R word. And in 2010, Obama signed Rose's Law, which removed the use of mental retardation in law. And the medical community stopped doing it decades before because the toxic nature of the word. What is your opinion on the continued use of the R word in internet culture despite large swaths of society moving on?
I mean, we should probably stop saying it. It's probably not a good word to say. I don't think there's much more controversial, or I don't know what more could be said than that. It's probably not a good word to say.
Do you still use it yourself?
Occasionally, yeah. I try to cut down on it. I stopped completely, and then I went back because I ran out of words to say, and I'm trying to cut back again, but yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, have fun.
Okay. Next question is from Carvo. Do you think the media shapes public opinion, or does public opinion shape what the media presents?
I think the two feed back into each other hardcore more than most people realize. A lot of people think that like the media dictate public opinion, but I think to a large extent the media just kind of show us what we really want to see, because that's how the media makes most of its money, and we end up like feeding back into each other like that in a pretty toxic manner. Or I think the most extreme voices are the most amplified because they're the most entertaining to watch, and it's what people want to see more than anything else. Even people that aren't extremists like watching extremists. So yeah, I think that the media and the public kind of like play into one another, and I think that is pretty. I believe that to be true. Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Para. Question is, I mean, it's kind of the same. And how can you support mass immigration when more immigration means the loss of wages / exploitation of natural born citizens? I know that you have been pro open borders in the past. How will this function properly at all when it comes to independent nation states? It seems to be counterintuitive.
So I don't know anybody actually who's like pro mass immigration. That's like a really weird right-wing boogeyman. I don't know even like liberals and progressives in general that are in favor of mass immigration. I guess there might be some when you talk about like the Mexican stuff or like the DACA stuff, maybe if you count that as mass immigration. Personally, I like the idea of people sorting themselves out economically. I think that as long as there aren't bad incentives in place, so for instance, access to like a large welfare state by just moving here or something, as long as those incentives are set up correctly, I don't mind people like sorting themselves out if there's more work or opportunity in another area. The idea of like people coming and like stealing jobs from natives or whatever, I don't think that's a whole other separate economic argument, but just generally like time and time again, that argument just doesn't seem to be true. People argue about it a lot. There might be, if I'm like super generous, some small impact, but it only affects like a certain sliver of the entire workforce, which tends to be like non-college educated, like some completed high school workers at like the bottom strata of society, which are negatively impacted by a bit, but not even nearly as significantly as people say they are. So yeah, I don't know. I reject the whole framing that like, oh, immigration destroys local job markets and blah, blah, blah. That's just not borne out anywhere. And yeah, but I'm also like not in favor of like, I'm not a huge like, oh, we need mass immigration. Like that's kind of silly. Like I just think people should be able to immigrate where they are, where the job opportunities exist. And we should have like as little like, I guess, fuck ups in the middle of that process.
Okay. Next question is from CGI. CGI, you are unmuted.
Hold on, wait, real quick. So this guy, Talisa, says, not borne out anywhere. I thought this asshole was fact-based. So if you log off of like right-wing HispanicWatch.com or like the Jews are taking over.com and you actually like take a dive into like any economic literature related to immigration and how it impacts both like state and local and federal budgets or how it impacts like local job markets, like you will see that the idea that immigrants going somewhere and destroying the job markets is just a huge fucking meme that just isn't borne out in any fucking literature. If you want to go and dive through studies and do it, that's fine. But like do that and look at papers and shit, or you can go to NBER, or you can look at a whole bunch of other shit if you want to find it. You're just not going to find the literature to support that position. It seems counterintuitive for a whole bunch of other reasons, but there's no fucking way I'm going to sit here and waste my time giving you an Econ 101 lesson on why immigration doesn't necessarily just want like steal jobs from natives. The transactions are a bit more complicated than that. But like I would highly recommend that you like dive through and look at like some actual published people on this rather than just like going to like www.brownpeoplearestealingourmoney.com for your facts and logic. All right, sorry. No, for a recommended thing on that side, because I did a lot of prep on my debate with Lawrence Southern. I think Borjas is like the most cited like anti-immigration guy, and even he contends that like fiscally it's probably a wash or a benefit, and that economically it's probably a wash or a benefit, and that's like the number one cited guy, at least in the old like fucking right winger like identitarian obsessed people or whatever. So there you go. Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to see Jagafar. Yes, I just want to say that I do think that your efforts and Georgia for canvassing, first off, were very appreciated. I just want to know that, and I think it was a great effort that you put a coalition of people to do that. Mm-hmm. So I just want to note that. But my question is, do you feel that the shooting of the woman in the Capitol was justified? And then my follow-up to that would be, what specifically, if any, are law enforcement responsible retaining to this and the shooting, either or the shooting or the riot?
So the shooting was probably justified. I mean, you're breaking into a Capitol building. You've got officers on the other end holding guns, telling you not to go further. I mean, at some point, they're going to be shooting. They're not going to let you near the lawmakers. They're not going to let you into the fucking halls to go and kill senators and congressmen. Like, that's not going to happen. So, I mean, like, I think the officers did what they did. I think that the failure that existed there, I think falls on the leadership of the MPD, the mayor, and I think that the Capitol Police. I think all of them, the leadership dropped the ball hardcore in terms of being prepared for it. And the responsibility is squarely on their shoulders. I think the police did about as much as they could have. I don't think that there was much more that they were capable of doing for that situation. They were just massively outnumbered, massively understaffed, and massively under-resourced.
You banana fuck!
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you answering my question.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from the Gaytheist. Do you believe that the treatment of black protesters and white protesters in this situation is different, especially considering their political alignment?
So people like to say that like the cops are treating them better because they're white people or whatever. Like, I'm never going to win this argument. I don't care. People that make like these kinds of like snap things on like fucking Twitter videos and shit is just really, really, really fucking obnoxious. I mean, like in terms of like, oh, there was a cop taking selfies with, like, dude, there's been videos of cops taking the knee and taking selfies with BLM protesters, you know, in terms of like, oh, they beat Black Lives Matter. Okay, well, they shot and murdered, well, not murdered, I shouldn't say that. They shot and killed a woman that was breaking into this thing. And there were videos of the cops fighting the people too. Also, one of these cops were fucking killed during these protests. Like, holy shit. I think that there's probably going to be some disproportionate amount of violence against like BLM people versus like white nationalist people, just by virtue of the fact that like cops are generally more supported by Republicans, and I think like 85% of cops say they voted for Trump in 2016. Like, so that wouldn't surprise me. But like trying to pigeonhole every single thing into like, oh, it's just because they were white, it's just because they were black, when most of the blame for this recent situation probably falls on like a black mayor, and then whoever the leader of the fucking Capitol Police were, is a little bit silly and a little bit absurd and a little bit reductionist to me. I think it misses a lot of what happened here to just blame it on like white people hating brown people. I think it's really silly.
Cool. Okay. Assassin, you're up. You are unmuted. Assassin.
So what is your what is your political opinion on the polarization for the past 4 years, as we haven't seen it this bad in the past 20 years? You see big media continue to stimulate it, and Trump hasn't really helped a whole lot in calming it down since his inauguration. Also, what do you think this divide will continue to grow for the next decade, or will some hero come from the ashes and lead us into a less toxic political sphere?
I mean, I would say that alternative media has been way more responsible for stoking the flames than mainstream media over the past few years, in terms of like being like pretty radical in what they're calling for. That being said, I think that our biggest problem right now in terms of like polarization, I think has less to do with like our ideologies and our philosophies and our values and beliefs. And I think it has more to do with the fact that we just live in completely and totally fucking different realities these days. I think that most Americans would agree with each other if they had like the same set of descriptive facts that they believed in. Like if you're a Republican and you believe that like the election was stolen and that George Soros is paying for people to stuff ballot boxes and that everybody is against Trump from the deep state, from Hillary and Obama, blah, blah, then I don't blame you for storming the Capitol. Like, I understand why you do it. That's some crazy shit. Like, the problem is that like we are so unbelievably polarized in terms of our fact-based understanding of the world that it makes sense to me that like, well, we're going to be polarized politically as well. But I think that our political opinions and all that, I think, are downstream from how different we view the world factually, rather than like we're just like so different, that Americans are like just such different people. I think that for the most part we share pretty similar values. We just just the difference in realities that we're being sold today is just insane.
Yeah, do you think this will, at due time will, die down?
I have no idea. Right now, it's just getting worse and worse and worse, because we've got like these complicated algorithms and money-making machines that are making a fuck ton of money off of feeding us extremist content to keep us wired to our televisions and wired to our computers for as long as possible. So it seems like it's getting worse and worse unless something comes in and stops it.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay. Next question is from Anime King. Whenever you're ready.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Hi, so my question is, what's your thoughts on like Twitch banning PogChamp? Like, I'm an avid Twitch watcher, and I like was really pissed off that they went down this route and like banned like the emote, I guess, or like the face on the emote, and are trying to remake it. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't really care that much, because I don't care about emotes that much. I think it's really dumb. I think that it's really dumb that like every single, I think that it just shows a surprising like lack of intelligence that every single statue, every single painting, every single fucking emote, every single thing that we see in society has to be like emblemic, embellishment, and something symbolic. There's a word I'm looking for there. Emblemic, an emblem. Fuck, there's somewhere emblematic maybe, yeah, of like a person that we agree 1,000,000,000% with, that has every single shared belief as us, that never said anything dumb or bad or stupid. Like, I think that's really fucking stupid. Like, I think that you should simultaneously be able to enjoy like a fucking emote or a statue or a painting while also recognizing like, hey, this guy was a really good painter. He was also insanely fucking racist. Like, pretty much everybody was before the year 1950 or whatever. Like, yeah, you know, I don't know. I think it's dumb when people go on like these rampages, like tearing down or destroying or getting rid of every single thing that has a name on it of a person that might have had a different belief than us. But,
all right, thank you.
yeah.
Cool. Okay, next question is from Flying. How much does a traditional family affect the functioning of a healthy society?
Probably not much. I think that people raise families in all sorts of different ways. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure that, like some people have like more like village oriented raising, especially among poor communities. We've got like moms and grandpas and uncles and aunts that are involved. And, I mean, some people do like the mom, dad, son, daughter thing. Like, I don't know. I don't think, I think that there are more important things than just like having some like rigid family structure. There's probably some more important things there, like having more important, like having institutions in society that function well is probably more important than like an ultra rigid family structure would be my guess.
Cool. Okay, next question is from the base minority. Yodel, go for it. Be nice, please.
All right, sure. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. So my first question, I guess, would just be post-Capitol protests, and I guess post what would we presume or like to hope is the Trump era. What exactly do you think the response, electorally speaking, should be of the Democratic Party?
I mean, you have to win in your districts. I mean, the response is going to vary from district to district. I mean, you have to do what wins. I mean, wait, can you be a little bit more specific, or?
Okay, sure. Like, I think it's understood that, like, generally speaking, the Democrats are going to condemn Trump, but more so what type of rhetoric or say usage of, or like attempting to like pin certain people against the wall for what they did or supported Trump. What extent do you think that we should go with regards to that? Do you think that like in the future we're going to see him as like literally, all right, orange man bad, or is it more so going to be like a nuanced opinion?
I don't know. That's a really hard one. I think that for the purposes of our country moving forward, we probably have to forget everything about Trump and just try to build a unified body moving forward. It seems to be important. That's what Biden is shooting for, because it's like coming together is literally the only way we're going to fix our incredibly fucked system right now, because polarization is just unbelievably high right now. It's unreal. That being said, I think that this administration has been unimaginably fucking evil, and it's crazy to me like how far they got in so many different ways that if somebody comes out and says like we need to fucking lock Trump and his associates up, I'm not going to argue much with them. It's probably not necessarily the best for the health of the country and moving forward, but man, these motherfuckers are crazy, and to some extent letting them walk on all of that maybe isn't the best idea. I don't know. Like, Trump literally called for people to go march on the fucking Capitol building where lawmakers were while he sat in the fucking White House sipping martinis, like watching them try to tear down the country. Like, that shit is unbelievable to me. That's insane to me. So, yeah, I don't know.
More so, I mean, with regard, it seems as if Trump is either destined to run again or go to jail. Do you think that, or would you, it seems as if you wouldn't argue necessarily much with that concept of having him in jail, but I more so just wonder, like, do you think that there would be damage, all right, possibly to the Democratic Party, electorally speaking, if we were to do that? Do you think that would possibly give the Republicans an out?
Yeah, it possibly would. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, a lot of, actually, I don't know the current polling data. It feels, based on what I've seen, I'm just saying as a feeling, I don't know. It feels like most people still think that the Democrats were all like completely in the wrong for the, for Russiagate. Even though those investigations turned out like a large number of incredibly credible indictments. But I think a lot of people still think that was bad. So it's possible that like going hard on Trump after he's gone might turn out rhetorically bad as well, even if it does produce like what I would say are positive results, like credible indictments. So yeah, I'm just not sure. It's a really hard question to answer.
Okay, sure. Well, then I guess maybe I could like ask another question that is a bit less vague. Obviously, you don't have like crystal ball. Would you support initiatives to like this is a complete pivot, but would you support incentives to like suburbanize America? And what I mean by that is
like incentives to
have, Yeah, sure. Like all these types of things, like Portland, for example, with regards to the restrictions they did on single-family zoning and
Yeah.
initiatives with regards to public transport.
This is like a really complicated econ question, and I'd follow the data on it. I don't know what the answer is. From like an emotional point of view, I actually really like walking around a lot of European cities and seeing how mixed all of the zoning is. I guess like spending some time recently, I was in like Stockholm and then Copenhagen and then Malmo and shit. I like the idea of like walking around and there's like apartments and stores and apartments and stores and malls and apartments and stores. Like I like all of that mixed up stuff everywhere. It feels a lot better than in America. You've got like way the fuck over here where the houses are, way the fuck over here where the stores are, and way the fuck down here is where industry is. And like there's the rush hour traffic every day and the huge like split of all of society in this. I don't know. From an emotional point of view, I like the mixed zoning stuff. I think it makes the cities like feel a lot cooler. In terms of like, is it more beneficial like economically and everything? Like I'm not 100% sure on that. I would just have to read more on it. I just don't know the answer to that. Yeah.
Okay, sure. I mean, that answers most of my questions for now, at least. Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Misag, you are up, and you are unmuted in 2 seconds.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Hi, yeah.
Hey, what up, Destiny? So I was just gonna ask, you kind of touched on this already in that, you know, we kind of live in this hyper-partisan point of time, and it feels a lot of the times like people can't even agree on the same reality to move forward. So is there any one major thing that can be done by either side, or is it a culmination of things that can be done to kind of get people on both sides on more of the same page so that we can move forward in a productive manner? Because right now it feels like we're kind of at this standstill where people can't even agree on the reality.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just encourage everybody, like, pound the facts, man. Like, just figure out, like, what's true of your case and just, like, focus on that. I've been incredibly disappointed by how the left has responded to a lot of stuff recently. Because, like, even in cases, like, the one I can think of most recently, and I bring this up a lot, is, like, I saw a tweet yesterday where, it was over 500,000 likes on this tweet. They talked about how Breonna Taylor was killed in her bed while she was sleeping. It's not true. It didn't happen. She was not asleep and she was not in her bed. Like, there are horrible situations that come up. I think the Breonna Taylor situation is really fucking horrible. The cops shooting into the fucking house, like whether or not they announced this or not, it's like super fucked. Like that's fucked on its own. That's fucked. Why do you have to make up the fact that she was in bed? Why do you have to make up the fact that she was sleeping? Like when you start to play fast and loose with the facts on either side, like it just encourages the other side to do it because now they can point to where you're doing it and you're less credible. I wish that people would be like a little bit more fact based on their analysis of like any situation, because man, it fucking hurts every side when you fuck it up on your side.
Do you feel like people reject the facts though? I feel like a lot of the times when people are pointed to the facts, they kind of just reject them for their own alternative. Like it's the whole, you know, fake news concept. So
yeah, how do
you get past that to the point where you're able to educate others on the facts? How do you get through that resistance of people not wanting to believe what may be factually occurring?
It's just like a massaging of society over time away from like disingenuous sources. I don't know more specifically how you do it. If I knew, I would do it on my channel. Like I debate people and shout at people, and people just tell me stuff that's just blatantly fucking wrong. People will quote studies at me that I'm familiar with. They're just misquoting. They're just wrong. They're just completely counter to what the study says. I don't know how you deal with people like that. Well, like the way you deal with people like this is you have to become like their friend, and over the course of several weeks, months, or years, you slowly like move their opinion over time by showing them things or whatever. But I don't know how you like do that as a society or culturally or as an individual. Like, it's just really difficult to do it. Yeah.
No, I got you. That makes sense.
Cool. Okay, Chad King, you're up. Go for it.
Hi, so this is a two-part question. Firstly, do you think that under Trump, the world has become a safer place or less inclined towards new wars compared to the potential Democratic Party?
I think that the world has become probably a less safe place. Maybe it's hard to quantify that. I mean, like the Syrian civil war basically ended. I think for the most part, it's kind of like wrapping up now. I don't know recently. I guess I remember in the past year or two what's going on there. But so I mean, like in that case, I guess it's gotten a little bit better. But I mean, like in terms of like the U.S.'s place in the world. In terms of like the U.S.'s place in the world, I think we've undermined our position in NATO. I think we've undermined our position with like European allies. I think we're less credible in terms of like working out deals or treaties, you know, from the perspective of the Iran deal. I think that we've like negotiated poorly with other administrations. So like North Korea, I think that all of those talks were horrible and everything we did there was bad. I mean, we've tried to undermine or have undermined like administrations in South America. I think Trump was trying to put more pressure on Cuba by rolling back the easing of tensions that Obama had started, like being able to fly there and the embargoes and everything. Trump invited, who was it? What was the name of the guy that he invited to undermine? I can't remember. There's been so much crazy shit in this administration. I don't think
Bolton?
It's been what?
John Bolton?
Well, it was not Erdogan. It was Guido. I think it was Guido to undermining
Stephen,
like other
you
administrations
even
around the world. Like
seen
I don't know. It seems like
telling
the United States has done like a bad job at at everything. There's like a million different things to talk about. I don't know. The world might be more safe just as time has gone on and different situations have changed, but it's definitely not to like America's credit. Yeah.
Well, the second part to the question is, would you rescind your support of the present Democratic Party if they advocate for or push for a war, or heaven forbid, engage in a war with Iran?
No, I hope we don't. I hope we don't do anything with Iran like that. I wouldn't support war with Iran. I don't think that's a positive direction forward.
But do you think it's a possibility under the Democratic Party?
Well, no, why would they want to go to war with Iran?
I think historically Biden is quite hawkish, and so too is Kamala, right?
But I don't even know how I would look at Kamala's like foreign policy. I'm not sure. Biden, I don't think it's been hawkish at all. There was this huge op-ed that Biden wrote that was surprisingly refreshing to read when it came to foreign policy. I wish I had a link to this. It was oh man, someone in chat will have it. But Biden wrote a huge op-ed on his incoming administration on the ways that he wanted to address foreign policy or whatever, and the need for like negotiation and the tuning down of like assassinating leaders and shit. I think is something that he spoke about a lot. So I hope that he moves in that direction forward. I mean, it's hard to imagine it could be worse. Like, it's so crazy to me that conservatives think that like we're going to go to war with Iran and shit with a Democrat president, when under a Democratic president, we had the Iranian nuclear deal. And then under a Republican president, we rescinded the Iranian nuclear deal. And then we assassinated the IRGC head on Iraqi soil. Like, I have a hard time believing that the incoming Democratic president is going to be worse than Trump on that. I would hope that they go back to like cooling and easing tensions and everything.
Well, let's hope. Thanks for answering the questions, by the way, and thanks for.
Cool. Okay, Shakespeare, you're up next. Whenever you're ready.
All right.
Oh, real quick, the person I was looking for was I'm pretty sure we invited Guido. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Guido to one of the Trump. It wasn't the State of the Union. It was some Trump speech or whatever. It was some big yearly presidential speech or whatever, where we were trying to like recognize like Guaido was the new president of fucking Venezuela and shit. I think we were trying to like ship supplies to him over the border and stuff too. That was the reference I was trying to make earlier. I forgot. Yeah, the State of the Union.
I think that was the State of the Union. Yeah, well, that's when they gave Rush Limbaugh the Medal of Freedom.
Oh yeah, the presidential. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Shakespeare, go for it.
So the question I had for you had a bit of a sci-fi bend to it, and to Elon Musk's new idea for Neuralink. I just want to know what your opinion is on Neuralink, and whether or not you would actually get a Neuralink implant once it becomes available to the general public.
I have no idea. I don't know anything about it at all, unfortunately. So.
No worries.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Next question is from Robin Hood. What are your opinions on the Pokimane Fedmeister controversy? And are you still in contact with Lily after your comments about Sikuno?
This seems like a meme question. My opinion, I don't have an opinion on the Fed Pokey thing. It seemed like a lot of dumb personal drama. And then, I think I'm still friends with Lily, yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Dexter. What is some advice you would give to others regarding political action and canvassing after your involvement in Georgia?
Oh my God, this Talisa guy in your chat is like rotting my brain every time I read a shitty thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you answer the question again? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what is some advice you'd give others regarding political action canvassing after your involvement in Georgia?
What are my plans? I want to do something in my home city next. I want to go to Omaha. I might be doing that. I've just reached out to one of the candidates and I got a response from him this morning, so I might be moving forward in that direction. Wait,
No,
fuck,
what-
I'm sorry,
what is
say it one
some
more time.
advice-
Holy shit, okay, I'm gonna stop reading what he said. He just said that I can't talk about Pokemon because she's gonna fucking sue me. Okay, I swear to God, hold on. I swear to God, I'm putting it in the corner. I'm not reading it. Okay, ask me your question. I'm listening to you, dudes. 1,000,000%. Go. Go.
Okay.
Go.
So, what is some advice you'd give to? Fuck no, I can't find the question. What is some advice you'd give to others regarding political action and canvassing after your involvement in Georgia?
Oh, political action and canvassing. Advice I'd give from an organizer side or from like a participant side?
It sounds like an organizer side.
From an organizer side, the number one takeaway that I got was the most important thing was figure out how to get people from in front of a computer to in front of like a voter door. So streamline that process, make it as easy as possible, figure out what's keeping people from doing it, and try to alleviate those issues, and just iterate on that over and over and over and over again. That's basically what we did for our canvassing, and then that's what we're going to be doing again in Omaha. Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from. Let's go with Obi-Wan. Now, what's your opinion on the Jamal Ahmad Khashoggi murder?
That was like the journalist that got fucking chainsawed up and carried out in Saudi Arabia, right? Yeah. I mean, that seemed really fucking horrible. I don't know what other opinion I could have on it.
Okay. Yeah, that was a weird question. Okay, next question is from Explain Deluge right now. Hey, Destiny, what do you think about the law of capital accumulation and the inevitability of the collapse of capitalism? Seems pretty difficult to avoid, especially in the light of the fact that we're experiencing 1929 levels of inequality.
The law of capital accumulation. I don't know what that is. I'm going to guess that just means that capital people are more prone to gain more and more capital.
It's some like weird Marxist shit. I honestly don't know much about it.
That would be my guess. I mean, I don't know. It seems like something we better make good tax policy. I'm not really interested in like post-capitalist like fantasy shit or whatever. I'm more interested in like, well, what's a policy we can use right now to alleviate like income inequality and stuff? Is more what I'm kind of interested in. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Next question is from Derry. Derry, you are unmuted.
Hey, long time no chat.
Hey, what's up? My number one obsessed stalker. How you doing?
Hey, don't spread lies. I'm right here in the chat. You can't do that anymore because I'm right here.
Okay.
The question was simply, what was the most significant change to your politics or philosophy in the last 5 years? And more importantly, what triggered that change?
Probably getting more woke on how effective our political system is and how it's not really like corporations and companies that are destroying everything. It's usually like lack of participation. And then seeing how the country is like 50 discrete states that are broken up into districts that all need to be taken into account when you're talking about winning elections, rather than just looking at like national level polls for everything. So viewing things as like different discrete districts rather than just viewing the entire country as one thing when figuring out like what policies work or don't work. Those have been the two biggest shifts, I think, in my kind of like political analysis. Yeah.
So ultimately you've gained a stronger bond to the idea of republicanism as opposed to pure democracy. You're leading more towards that.
What do you mean by republicanism? Like
republicanism, yeah, like representative government, more supposed than like pure democracy. Like you're more into the founding fathers ideology.
I don't know. I don't think my position on that has changed at all.
Okay, well, I asked what was the most significant change, so that's why I was clarifying.
Yeah, but I mean, so my two big changes are that I think that politically, I think our system is very effective. I don't think that it's just corporations above everything. And then my second change was that I think that it's important to look at things on an electoral level, like state by state, rather than just a national level. I mean, I still support the idea of like a democratic republic, that we vote for representatives that vote on our behalf. I don't think that my opinions on that have changed at all.
Okay, cool. Good job in Georgia. Don't be afraid to debate. Don't let the memes be memes.
Okay, buddy. Thanks.
Okay. And the next question is from Iram. I'm not sure if he wants to ask in voice chat, so I'm going to unmute him. Iram, are you there? Iram? No? Okay, I'll just read it. What are your thoughts on the shift toward corporate control of speech? However convenient you may think it is in the short term, turning over tremendous influence / control of the national conversation seems like it will only benefit a small circle of tech elites in the long term.
I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's a little bit scary that like private companies are kind of like controlling like all of our major speech platforms. It seems a little sketchy to me. I don't know what the solution is to that problem, though. It seems like a really difficult problem to address.
Okay.
And then was there a second half of that?
No, it was just a statement, basically saying that it seems convenient in the short term, but it only benefits the tech elite.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a question. What do you think about the idea that Twitter is like not just Twitter, but like Twitter, Facebook, the very large like social media platforms, right, that have like a couple billion people on them? What do you think about the idea that these are like virtual public spaces or virtual town squares? Yeah, and that they should be regulated by the government directly in terms of like they shouldn't be in the hands of private companies.
I don't know. It's a really, 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 really tough question. I legit don't have a good answer for it. Like on one end, because like you could just like, yeah, these should be regulated by the government. But then on the other hand, like, are we going to force private businesses to be hosting like content that they don't want on their platform? Like, what counts as freedom of speech? Like, what like. That's just a really difficult question. Like, what do we like? Are we going to impinge on their ability to moderate their communities if we say that these are public spaces now? Like, I don't know. It's a hard one. But then on the other end, you know, somebody could theoretically be banned from like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and fucking YouTube, and they have like no voice anymore. It seems, unless they're willing to pay an exorbitant amount of money for it. But I don't know. It's a rough one.
Okay, Spacebox Man, it's your turn. Go for it.
Okay. Hi there, Destiny. Can you hear me?
Yep. Hi.
Yeah. All right. I would like to ask a question. What do you think is the cause for people's intelligence? Like, say, if it's environmental or if it's based solely on genetics. Do you have any evidence for this?
I mean, there are no traits that are solely one or the other. Like every trait you have is environment acting on a gene. In terms of like what makes you intelligent, I mean, I don't know, there's like 200 plus different genes I think so far that have been identified in terms of contributing to that, and then environmentally there's like a million other things that can influence how intelligent you are as well, all the way down from like, you know, obvious things like, you know, the schools you go to not obvious things like your natal environment of like the mother's womb and how like healthy she is during pregnancy. So I mean, I don't know, I can't answer like where does intelligence come from. That's an incredibly complicated question that I think a lot of people are still asking themselves and researching.
No, the reason why I asked this question is because Jordan Peterson was actually focusing on this, and he basically said that people who be from a lower set of intelligence are more set to like repetitive jobs most of the time.
That people of lower intelligence are set to what, worse jobs or what?
Repetitive jobs.
Oh, I mean, descriptively, that's probably true. I would imagine the lower your intelligence, the more simple or repetitive your job will probably be. I don't think that's, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Okay. The next question is from Zach. Zach wants me to like read off a bunch of shit. No, Zach, your question is really long. Go for it, please.
Hi, Destiny. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Thank you. All right. So, in my view, now that the Republicans are aware of the power of ideologically thinly veiled populism, we're seeing this in candidates like Ted Cruz, who's kind of like becoming a Twitter memester, like cringely enough. Future political figures like this guy, who are more politically savvy than Trump, will employ such methods. Now, given this, what sort of rhetoric do the Democrats need to employ in the future to tackle this sort of rhetoric? And to what extent is it failing, is my question.
I don't know. These kinds of questions are really hard. When you guys ask me like, what do Democrats need to do to beat like populism from the right or what? Like, if I had the answer to these, I would be like a multi-trillion-dollar selling author. I don't even know where to start. The problem is that like when we like questions like this, this is like the intersection of like 20 different like incredibly complicated topics in terms of like what is the responsibility of social media? Like, should they be banning people or limiting the types of messages we can see? What are the responsibilities of like, you know, like schools? Like, how do we educate our children? Like, do we need to be talking about more politically charged things in school environments? You know, what is the responsibility of government? You know, like what should we be like holding our lawmakers more accountable to stuff like it's such a hard question to answer that there's like a million different like really complicated moving parts. Like yeah, I don't even know. It's almost like asking me like, how do you fix politics? Like I wish I had a good answer to that. Like I mean, I would say like, well, my answer is just make sure that everybody's just like fact-based in what they say, but like obviously that's like incredibly simplistic and naive, and it's really difficult to get there. So yeah.
All right, I understand. If I may ask you a follow-up. So given your recent campaign experience in Georgia, what do you think is the biggest factor getting in the way of, well, this is kind of it's going down a similar line as you were complaining about like just now, but what was the biggest factor getting in the way of Democrats in shedding their broadly toxic image in Middle America? Do you have any like personal anecdotes that you can describe?
The far left messaging needs to be way more contained to far left districts and not try to like spread out to the rest of the country. Like, I think that far left people need to focus in their own little districts and stop trying to bully moderate Dems in harder to win districts with their messaging. Like that defund the police shit might work up in fucking, you know, in the bluest districts in the country, but that shit needs to stay the fuck away from like the Rust Belt or from working America or from, like the Midwest or the South. Like, we need to be more mindful of where our messaging is directed at.
All right, thank you for answering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next question is from G. Brown. Is the disproportional sentencing of different racial groups demonstrative of systemic racism, or is it demonstrative of the judge's implicit racism? Are they intertwined?
There's probably like different. I'm sure there's probably levels of implicit racism in a system that relies on discretion at every step of the way. So a cop can decide if he wants to give you a ticket or not. A judge can decide how harshly he wants to sentence you. Prisons can decide to release you earlier. Like, I'm sure there's like implicit biases all the way up here. And then there's also systemic like enforcement issues as well. Like, where do we enforce crimes at? Which types of crimes do we enforce? So I mean, I'm sure all these things work together. Yeah.
Okay, next question is from Bay Stalin. Mr. Bay, you are unmuted.
Hey, Destiny, do you think that, do you have concerns with the Electoral College still? I mean, I know you do, but do you have any ideas about what should be the replacement kind of system if it does get abolished? Like proportional representation, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm okay with the Electoral College. I think that the Electoral College should exist. I think the House of Representatives needs to have more members. The House should be more proportional, and then the Electoral College should be a little bit more proportional, but I'm not like ideologically opposed to the existence of these types of things. The two things I want changing the Electoral College is that, one, it's made more proportional, and two, every single state splits their electoral vote based on how the population votes. Yeah.
That's a pretty good answer. Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, go, if Dubes is okay with it.
Go for it.
Are you concerned at all about like psychological manipulation from the media? Do you think that's a concern for Americans in general?
I mean, kind of, but I mean, like, everything is everything like tries to manipulate you, right? Like schools are psychological manipulation, media psychological manipulation, culture, like film, like movies, music, are all psychological manipulation. I mean, like, everything like slowly changes your ideas and shit over time. I mean, am I worried about it? I mean, it's a reality. I mean, I'm worried if it's not promoting good messages, but yeah. But yeah, that's kind of vague, but.
Okay, thanks.
Well, okay. Next question is from the Queen Bee.
Wait. Why did Architect say Destiny doesn't know how the fucking electoral vote even works? Reappointment I agree with, but it has virtually nothing to do with the Electoral College. Okay, I could be totally fucking wrong, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, because you know what? Because all this shit is complicated. My understanding is that the number of electoral votes that you get is equal to it's 2 plus your representatives, right? It's the number of senators you have plus representatives, isn't it? Am I right or wrong on that? Somebody can just...
Are you okay with me unmuting this guy, this Architect guy? So
sure. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Go for it. Watch the electoral vote, but yeah, you have to have a senator that's that signs off on it. So it doesn't matter how many people in the House are apportioned, you have that many senators that have to sign off on it. And as far as
what?
You have 2 senators per state.
Wait, what I'm asking is, like, the number of electoral votes you have, it's equal to the number of senators plus representatives, right?
No, that's not how the Electoral College works. You have to have a majority of you have to have people in the House that sign off on it, and you have to have people in the Senate who sign off on it. So it doesn't matter how many electoral people are.
Okay, hold on. I just looked this up. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Electoral votes are allocated among the states based on the census. Every state is allocated a number of votes equal to the number of senators and representatives in its U.S. congressional delegation. 2 votes for its senators plus a number of votes equal to the number of its congressional districts.
That's exactly what I said. 2 votes per senator, 2 senators per state, and then you have the House. Like, we literally saw this shit when they fucking.
Okay, so if you were to increase the number of representatives in the House, And
it would have no relevance to what you said. It would have no relevance. You could. I agree with
wait, hold on. I know you're really excited. Okay, chill. If you made it so that you had like 800 representatives in the House, wouldn't there necessarily be more electoral votes because people would gain electoral votes if they gained representatives in the House?
No, because you still need a senator to sign off on the objection or the agreement to the vote.
What does that have? What does it sign off on the objection or agreement to the vote? What does that have to do with anything?
This is how the electoral vote goes. It requires a senator to agree or disagree.
I have no idea. I don't know what this guy's talking about.
What I'm saying is, it's irrelevant how many apportioned representatives you have in the House. It's irrelevant. That's all I was saying in the chat.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I really have no idea. He's talking about
you need a senator to sign off on objecting or to agreeing to the vote.
Are you talking about? Are you just talking about like people certifying the vote or whatever?
Correct.
Yeah. Wait. That's not what I'm talking about at all. We never talked about the certification.
Yes, you were talking about whether or not it's relevant to have. You were trying to like say that we need more reapportion. I agree with that. But it doesn't matter how many representatives you have. It doesn't matter whatsoever.
Doesn't the amount of representatives you have determine how many electoral votes your state has?
No. What are you talking about?
Okay, let me just reread this and tell me if you disagree. Because you just said you did. You said you agreed with this.
Electoral votes for state are defined by the Senate, dude. Are you not the census? Are you not? Do you not know how it works?
I think that if I bully you anymore, I think it's going to be considered ableism. So I'll give you the W on that one, Chief. All right. What's the next question, Doobie?
Next question. Thanks.
Okay. Next one is from YRB, and I'm unmuting him now. Okay, go for it.
Hello, mic check. What do you think Politic server operators like Doobie could do to prevent discrimination against people on the basis of gender, race, femboy status, or sex, without affecting their goal of being open to all ideas in the free marketplace of ideas?
I don't fucking know how Doobie should run his fucking server. I usually try to make sure that like my chats are like a safe place for other groups of people. So I try not to have like a bunch of like crazy like racism, homophobia, like anti-LGBT stuff and everything. Yeah, that's all you can do, I guess, right? Necessarily some ideas are going to be excluded, right? If you've got somebody that wants to come in and talk about how like all black people need to be murdered, that person's probably not going to be welcome in that server because black people probably aren't going to want to be there, right?
All right, thanks.
Right. Wait, that was your question? I got baited. Okay. Next question is from Mushu. Mushu, I'm going to unmute you. Actually, you can unmute yourself.
Wait. Give me, hold on one second.
Go for it. Sure.
1 second. Okay, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Are you still raging at that archetype guy? Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Okay. Wait. Did you understand what I was saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I know.
The number of electoral votes the state has is equal to like the senators plus representatives. If we were to increase the House so that there were like 800 representatives, then some states would necessarily gain more electoral votes, right? Am I wrong on that? Isn't that how that would work? That's how that would work, right? Am I missing something?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then this guy's like talking about like the fucking like senators signing. He's talking about like the certification process or some crazy fucking shit. I think the guy is legitimately like fucking insane. Like he's unhinged or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay, go.
Oh, it's okay. So from Mushu, what's your opinion on the whole Uyghur situation in China? I guess she's asking if you think that the re-education camps are real, if you think they're actually torturing people, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably real in terms of like what you consider torture. I mean, I've seen a lot of crazy fucking shit coming out about that. I'm not like the most informed on that topic, but everything I've seen come out about it makes it sound like there's some like crazy fucking shit going on. So yeah. Yeah, I can't really speak to specifics because it's not an issue that I follow like ultra closely, but it seems pretty fucked. I watched, was it Vice? Or was it show HBO? Fuck, I don't remember who did it. They did like a thing.
No, it was Vice.
Was it Vice? Where the lady, they went and they did the thing and they recorded down there or whatever, and they've got like the whole cities are fucking empty, or there's like those weird like schools where they took all the kids and everything. Like, whew, I mean, that looks like some pretty crazy shit going down there. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Next question is from the Queen Bee, actually skipped earlier. Many Trumpers advocate for the creation of a Patriot Party and denounce the rest of the right. Do you think there's now a distinct divide between normal conservatives and Trump conservatives? Building on this, do you think America has been a two-party system for too long and that there is no room for another party?
Honest to God, third parties are boring. A lot of people in the U.S. cry about like, we need more parties and we need more parties. And it won't, honest to God, it won't fix any of the problems people think it will. We have like a pretty wide variety of people that are available to us, like in the primaries, in terms of people that are electorally viable anyway. It's not like making a third party is magically going to have that third party be massively growing or anything. And then in terms of like I don't know what America's political future is going to look like after Trump. I don't know what the Republican Party is going to look like. It's impossible to say. The entire world, I think, is looking at America to see what things look like after Trump. Nobody knows if the rest of the Republicans are going to acquiesce and just kind of like fold back into the party, or if they're going to like break off and do some crazy shit, or what's going to happen. Like no one has any idea. Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Ma57Y. This is a voice chat question, so whatever the fuck your name is, you're unmuted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi.
Yeah.
So who is your favorite conservative or libertarian? It can be a politician, it can be a commentator, just who's your favorite one?
My favorite so people say this, I don't know if this is true. People say that Potholer, do you know that guy on YouTube? People say that guy is a conservative. If that's true, that guy is easily my favorite fucking one. Other than that, man, I don't know if I like very many. I mean, like I've listened to a lot of them. Like Glenn Beck, I listened to quite a bit. He's like a libertarian / conservative. I don't really like him though. Michael Savage used to be really fucking funny. I don't know if that guy even still exists. Yeah, I don't know. Fuck, conservatives are just fucking insane, man. It's hard to find any to listen to that seem like pretty decent. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Do you have a recommend? What about you? Who are your favorite ones? Name one or two. I'm curious.
I don't really have. I don't really listen to a lot of conservatives. I mostly do reading on. So I'm not a conservative. I'm more of a libertarian, but I mostly do reading.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I like Thomas Sowell though. He's pretty smart.
Okay.
Okay. Next question is from Conical. Who would you like to see run in 2024? And this is for both parties.
I have no fucking idea. I don't know. Ask me in like 2024. I have no fucking idea.
Okay. Next question is from CGG Green. What do you think about Joe Manchin saying he won't vote for the 2K stimulus checks?
I'm pretty sure that's a fucking lie. I feel like I've read like 7 different quotes about this. I'm pretty sure that he said he would consider it. It would just depend on like how it was presented or whatever. Like this has been said so many fucking times. People fucking hate Joe Manchin because he's a moderate Dem, and so they slander the fuck out of him. But I'm 99% sure that he said that he would support it. Like.
Okay. Next question is from Jacked Jat. Mr. Jacked, you're unmuted.
So my question was that do you think the Congress or the senates of other countries should have more philosophers, visionaries, economists, military leaders, and lawyers, more sort of these people as well in the decision making of a country than just straight up politicians who are naturally experts in some specific field?
Personally, I'd like that, but I mean, it doesn't seem democratically like we care about those people much, so we'd have to change like our whole form of government to get there, yeah.
All right, and my follow-up question to that is, do you think voting is like a, it should be a birthright, or it should be a skill that is acquired, which is mastered? Do you think voting should be a birthright? Should voting be a birthright, or should it be a skill that is acquired?
Okay, fuck, hold on, should voting be a
voting?
Voting.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a really, really complicated one too. Like I've heard arguments that like anybody should be able to vote, like children should be able to vote and stuff. They're impacted by the system as well. I don't know. That's a really, really hard one. I think voting has to be something that everybody gets the right to do, period. I think it has to be that way. Otherwise you run into like a lot of weird areas of like, well, who decides who gets to vote? Who's not being allowed to vote? Are they no longer getting representation? Like, yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Next question is from Hans. Do you think there's a market for more SOCDEM / Neolib content on Twitch and YouTube?
Not right now. Right now, we're seeing like the big rise of like the champagne socialists. Like that's like the huge fucking thing that you're seeing now on YouTube and Twitter. And we're probably gonna ride this wave for a few years until the next thing comes along. I don't know what the next thing will be. Who knows? We go from thing to thing to thing. Who knows?
Okay. Next question is from Tigor. Tigor, you're unmuted.
Again, just going back to a discussion about Joe Biden and like going back to what you said about 2022 hinging on the successes of Joe Biden. Now that the cabinet has pretty much been set, you've had some time to better understand the cabinet picks such as Janet Yellen, Lloyd Austin, and Merrick Garland. Are you particularly satisfied or concerned with the current cabinet makeup? And do you see any major or meaningful progress in his first 2 years of the presidency, given that current makeup of the cabinet?
Cabinet stuff is not stuff that I've like followed almost at all. I'm not sure how much the cabinet is going to be relevant in terms of like pushing like legislation through Congress though. My understanding is that these are going to be like a lot of battles that are going to be fought in the House and Senate, and then with the president obviously pushing a certain agenda. But I don't know much about like all the cabinet picks at all yet. I haven't like looked into or read into like any of these people yet.
Okay, with a follow-up question too, are you also concerned that some senators on the Democratic side, especially those up for re-election in 2 years, will break away with the party and what they would like to do to save themselves for another 6-year term when they're up for re-election in 2022? Are you concerned about that at all?
I mean, it's possible. That's what politicians do, right? They vote in ways that get them reelected. I mean, that's all part of the battle of getting legislation through Congress, is negotiating with all of your senators and negotiating with all of your congressmen to make sure that people are able to vote on things that won't cost them their seats, but still allows you to get an agenda passed. The scariest thing right now for the Democratic Party is probably just that we have like a pretty slim majority. Like the Senate is literally 50-50, and then we lost seats in the House. So yeah, it's going to be pretty scary to see which senators or congressmen end up breaking from the party to maintain their seats. Yeah.
Very much.
Cool. Okay. Next question is from Elliot. Why should BLM riots be given less shit in the media than the Capitol raid? Both pose no threat to society overall due to their unorganized nature.
Why should wait? What was the first part of that?
Given less shit, I guess why should they be criticized less harshly than the Capitol raid? Then the rest of the statement is both pose no threat to society overall due to their unorganized nature, and the Capitol raid didn't hurt countless innocent people. You seem harsh on both, to be fair to you.
Why? So why should which two? Was the first thing the BLM riots?
Oh, I guess what they're asking. I guess what they're saying is that it seems like the media has been more harsh to the Capitol rioters than to BLM rioters.
Yeah, I mean probably because I mean you have to look at the causes for what people are rioting for, right? So like if the media views the BLM as rioting or protesting on behalf of like rights for Black people in terms of like not being killed by cops and having it ignored and shit, versus people marching on the Capitol are like attempting to coup d'etat the government. I mean, obviously, they're going to be more, probably going to be more friendly towards the BLM protesters than the attempted coups.
Okay. Next question is from Iram. Does your ideal of social justice include a sense of retribution? Race-based reparations seems to attribute a sense of guilt for having received a conferred advantage from circumstances beyond their personal control, i.e. white people having benefited historically from slavery. Yet, group guilt has historically been used to justify atrocities.
Yeah, okay, I don't care about that. Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of I don't think retribution is like a good way to run anything, but I don't think reparations are about retribution or blaming anybody for anything. I think that's like a very white-centered, very weird take on things. Generally the most coherent arguments that I've heard in favor of retribution are usually like, hey, like a lot of Black people were promised, certain things, and they either weren't paid land or wages or given what they were promised, and so we should make right on that. And then those payments come from the federal government. That doesn't seem to be that outrageous of a position to me. I don't know personally how I feel about it, but you know what? If you want to have a good idea of how you should feel about it, on Sunday night, tomorrow night, I'm going to bring on 2 Black creators, and they are going to have a debate over whether or not there should be cash reparations paid to African Americans in the United States. So make sure to tune into that at 5 p.m. PST tomorrow. Okay, sorry, God, I'm done plugging.
Okay. Next question's from fuck, I lost it. Okay. That is from Wrecked Ben Shapiro. How do you justify the Electoral College when no matter how you distribute it, a person's vote on average is going to be worth more in one state than another?
Personally, I'm okay with the idea that there is some state representation when it comes to picking the president rather than just raw number of votes. I like the idea that lesser populated states can still feel a little bit bought in to choosing our head of state rather than it just falling on like a few incredibly populated states. But a lot of people get really mad when I say that. Yeah.
Base Solon has a follow-up to something, so I'm going to unmute him whenever you're ready.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up to the question I asked earlier about possible psychological manipulation on the part of the media. Do you think that skews politically left to the point where it's like a manipulation to manipulate your political psychology, like to the point where like media organizations are kind of like quasi political action groups for like the left or left-wing causes? With what we're seeing, particularly like the categorization of the protesters as like terrorists, and trying to dox all the protesters that were there, and just the whole outrage that's kind of been generated from it.
I mean, I don't think they're anywhere near political action committees. I mean, it depends on what media you consume, I guess. Like MSN, CNBC, CNN are all going to be like left wing. Fox News is probably going to be right wing. If you listen to talk radio, it's going to be right wing. If you're reading online publications, it's going to be left wing or right wing. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to answer this. I mean, like, media is going to try to manipulate you. I don't know if that's necessarily wrong. Isn't that kind of like media's job is to manipulate you, to like argue for a point and make you agree with it? Like, and I don't think media function anywhere close to PACs right now, political action committees. So, yeah.
Well, maybe a way to narrow that down a little more is to ask if you think that the response by the media to the protest of the vote certification was over.
Wait, real quick, it wasn't a protest; it was a riot, right?
I mean, it started out as a protest, though, right?
As all riots do, yeah.
Yeah, so I can call it a riot if that helps, like, move the conversation.
Well, sure, yeah, okay. I was just being, because it seems like the subject at hand is whether or not we should call them terrorists or not. So if we start with affirming this question as they're protesters, well, calling them terrorists seems to be pretty radical. But if we say that they're rioters that were attempting to circumvent the process where we're certifying who the next president is going to be, makes them a lot closer to like attempted coups or terrorists, I think, which is kind of what was happening. I don't think that's that crazy to call them that, no?
Well, okay, so you don't think then that the media response has been overwhelmingly kind of leftist, like extreme left, especially with like the calling out people to dox, like particularly like the identification, even though the FBI, clearly doesn't need help identifying people, like calling on people to identify the rioters or the protesters, because I mean, obviously all the rioters, obviously there were protesters in there that were peaceful. So just kind of this bit of a witch hunt against these people to where we're kind of being normalized to like ratting out our neighbors, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not so firstly, just to be clear, the FBI explicitly asked people for help identifying people, right? They literally posted on Twitter saying like, hey, if you know anybody, like email us, blah, 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 blah.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, is that they don't need our help, and that they're kind of normalizing us. Like,
wait, that's them asking for help, though. Wait, what do you mean they don't need our help?
Exactly, they're asking to help normalize like an authoritarian sort of transition to American society.
In general, I'm really uncomfortable with the idea of like doxing people going to protest and getting them fired from their jobs and shit. I think we should probably avoid that, except in like the most absolute insane cases. I don't know if this counts as one of them. I have to think a lot more about that. In general, I don't like the idea of like doxing people at protests and trying to get their lives destroyed, though. I think that sets a really, really, really bad precedent for protests in the future. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this was an attempted coup of the country. Like, I almost think these people should be like tried for like sedition or treason. Not, I think sedition or whatever. Like, it's what happened was pretty unbelievable. Like one of the few times where like, if a group of people were like executed for something, I could almost see it being the case. Like, this is like pretty fucking insane. that we had like an attempted coup that was like kind of like pushed from our president from a rally like 2 miles away. Like it's really, really, really unbelievable. That being said, in general, like there were a lot of people that are protesting. I don't think you should dox people that are there just like protesting and chilling, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
And a video game.
Great, thanks. Okay.
Yeah.
Next is your favorite capitalist. You're unmuted. Go for it.
Hey man, I'm a big fan of your channel, even though I consider myself right wing. This is a two-part question. So I was wondering, do you support some form of capitalism, given your opposition to like non-compete and like Michael Albert?
Given my opposition to non-compete and Michael Albert?
Yeah.
Do I support some form of capital? Well, I am a capitalist, right?
Okay. My second question was like, do you think, given like the current economic crisis, do you think there's gonna be like a big like anti-capitalist or socialist movement in the near future?
Yeah, there's a lot of young people right now that are riding on that socialism, communism, fucking dick ride or whatever. It'll be interesting to see what policies actually get suggested to Congress, though. Unless you have a policy, I typically don't care what you say, and I think that nobody should care what you say. So when people start suggesting policies, we can start making laws around it, but otherwise it's just a bunch of LARPing on Twitter and LARPing on YouTube to get Patreon subs so that you can get millions of dollars. Yeah.
Yes, I could not agree with it. All right, thanks.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Next one is from White16 Rhino. You're unmuted.
Hey, so this question kind of involves some contextualization about your position. From what I understand on abortion, you don't think personhood is easily definable, so you stand pro-life. Is that kind of right?
No. So right now I'm like pro-choice. I'm like 48-52. Like 52-48, like 52% in favor of it. Like I don't have like strong positions on abortion. I think that it's really, really hard to have like a. I don't think there's like a right answer in terms of being for it or against it. So then yeah.
Okay, I was just referencing like the discussion with Hassan where you.
Yeah, I think on that I was just kind of like trying to tease out his positions. I don't even think that was a real conversation because it's pretty clear that he's never thought about it before.
So like you wouldn't advocate for like legal or government intervention and
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Even when I was pro-life, I wasn't in favor of government intervention against it because it's such a fuzzy issue that it's hard to like tell somebody how they should feel about it.
Okay, that's a good response.
Wait, that was it? Didn't you have?
Well, okay. So I mean, he pretty much. The contextualization was when you were morally against abortion, how can you say that like you morally justify something but you're not in favor of the legal framework to support the moral?
Because the moral justification might be so fuzzy that I don't feel confident that I can argue it. Like the moral justification seems to rely on some like axiomatic statement that I just take to be true and I can't really tell somebody else to accept it. So like I might say that like all human life from the moment of conception should be protected as long as that thing is like processing energy, is like alive, right? But like somebody else might say like, oh, well, that's cool that that's your axiom. My axiom is all human life from the moment of conscious experience, once it's begun, should be protected until it stops like processing energy, until it dies. I could build my moral system out from there, and then that other person could build their moral system, and we'd agree on like 99.999% of issues. We would just disagree on abortion, but I really have no way of bringing them over to my side. I don't know how I would ever argue against their like fundamental position, because it doesn't seem like wherever those arguments come from seems to be pretty like outside the bounds of whatever human understanding or knowledge or capability of arguing is from, because it just, yeah, that's, yeah.
Do you care if I ask a second question?
Knock yourself out.
So in your most recent video, you brought up like a critique of capitalism was like inequality in it. Do you think all inequality is inherently bad, or?
No, of course not. I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. I was just. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Have fun.
Okay. Next question is from Magic Banana. Banana, go for it.
Do you think that the military budget...
Hold on, I'm so sorry. Real quick, 1 second. Yeah, no, I won that completely. Senators 2 per state, greater than unlimited reps, in the electoral vote. We literally saw it with how a single senator was able to object to the vote. Archetype, all those votes still went through though, you fucking dipshit. And that still has nothing to do with the number of electoral votes you have. Dude, but you have the most triggering fucking morons in this fucking chat. It drives me crazy. I'm sorry. Okay, I totally cut you off. Okay, keep going.
It's all good. So do you think that the military budget is too high? And if you think it is, how much do you think it should be changed?
I don't really care much about like what a budget is. I think people focus way too much on like budgets sometimes. I think we should focus more on like what are the programs and do we support funding them. So like our military budget is high, but it also probably pays out like a fuck ton of like wages and pensions and everything. So insofar as like it pays like for our military, like that's probably fine. Insofar as like our programs in terms of like making sure that our arsenals and everything are up to date and all of that, like that's probably fine. Insofar as like, you know, maybe we do some dumb fucky shit around the world sometimes, like paying out inordinate amounts of money for like the Afghanistan or the Iraqi war, that's probably not okay. But it's less of an idea of like we should pay 100 billion less, and more so like oh well maybe we should maybe we should cut this program or this program. I think it's what people should focus on. I approach things like socialized healthcare the same. Like people are like, how much should we, or people ask like, how much should we raise taxes? And it's like, well, I don't fucking know. I don't really care what the tax rates are. I just want to make sure that we can pay for the programs that we need. Like that's all that should matter at the end of the day. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. This is from Mistro. Mistro, I'm going to unmute you whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, if nuclear families were shown to have the best outcomes for children, would it be morally acceptable to encourage people to fill those roles?
Okay, hold on. Okay. If nuclear family, so let's say that we did a bunch of studies. So I'm being generous to your question, because right now I think that like gay families, I think do the best, but that's not really fair to say because gay people have to adopt. And so there's a much higher bar for entry, whereas any two random dipshits can make a kid, right? So let's assume that like all the socioeconomic and everything else is like kept the same. And let's say that we saw that nuclear families had like better outcomes, controlling for all other things. And then let's say that, and then the next part of the question is, would it be morally acceptable to encourage people to engage in that type of relationship? I think that it would be morally acceptable to encourage it for sure. I don't think you could like mandate it by law or like hardcore, like,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I think, I think you can encourage people to do it. Okay.
Yeah, the principle of this is basically, should we be encouraging people socially to do things that are healthier for them? For example, we should probably encourage everyone to see a therapist at least once. We should probably encourage people to work out. We should probably encourage them to learn how to cook. These kinds of things should be encouraged to be the norm, right? And if one of those things happen to be things that line up with traditional values, we shouldn't throw that away just because it's not inclusive.
Yeah, generally, as long as people are able to take like a relatively nuanced point towards it and not like demonize the fuck out of people that don't necessarily fall in line with what's being encouraged. Yeah, I think we should generally encourage people to do like better things. I think that that's probably the most important tool in society we have towards making a better society rather than relying on government policy to do so. Yeah.
Yeah, I would never advocate for like direct government policy, like, you know, forcing people like you work out or you get fined.
Yeah,
or
yeah. Although I think
like
in Japan they do that to, I think, actually, fuck, I don't know, actually. I'd have to think about that. I think, I'd have to think a lot about this, sorry, fuck. Because actually, I do support government policy in some ways that helps us. So, on one end, we should encourage people to eat healthier. I agree with that. But on another end, I support things like sugar taxes, where I think in the UK, they've employed these and it's been like pretty positive in terms of like reducing consumption of sugar. So, maybe on some levels, maybe I do support like some sort of even government enforcement of some of these things. I would just have to think about, I guess it would come down to what particular policy it was and how much more beneficial it was.
Yeah, what I mean by that isn't that I'm against all government policies trying to encourage people to do X or Y. I mean, like you have to pay a massive fine if you're fat. If you don't check in at the gym at least 3 times a week, you get fined. Things like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mistral. Next question is going to be from Sean Che. Sean, you're unmuted. Sean?
Oh, yeah. No, sorry. Okay. So my question is, you think, okay, to give a frame of reference, we have like fact checker, you know, like something that's like to prove if information is credible or not, like, you know, and there's various approaches that journalists can take. My question is, do you think an AI system is necessary to improve...
Wait, a what system?
An AI system where to like prevent like preventative like AI system like to sort out and deal with fake news, right? To sort out misinformation. Do you think it's necessary or one of the tools that we could use to improve the quality of information we receive? Because like I'd say that is the problem right now, currently today.
I mean, I don't think we have
think?
anywhere near the level of like sophistication and AI yet to determine what is fake news or not fake news. I don't even know how that would go about doing it. I mean, it seems like an interesting idea, but
Would you if it actually did reduce the level of fake news and misinformation?
I mean, I guess, but that's going to be like ripe for conspiracy theorists, right?
I guess, but if it effectively informs the public a lot more, and actually,
yeah, but I mean, like, if it
as a net
disagrees with some,
awesome.
like, let's say that we made an AI right now and it came out and it determined, like, actually, all the stuff related to the election with Trump, the votes were actually all fake and there were hidden ballot boxes. Every left-leaning person just wouldn't trust the AI. They say, oh, well, the AI is rigged, obviously. Or if it came out and was like, oh, look, like, the election was right, like, everything is okay. Like, all the people in the room be like, oh, well, that AI is rigged, obviously, right? So I don't know how much it would help.
But what you could do theoretically is that it could appeal towards empiricism, rationalism, and you could have a network where it could be something that is like, okay, this is like getting into appealing like towards like a global network, where maybe you had an AI system from China, UK, but had a group like collective notion was like basically to better inform the populace.
Yeah, I mean, like, theoretically, this would be cool.
I mean?
Yeah.
So it cross-reference. Yeah.
Yeah, theoretically it'd be cool, but like we can't even get driving cars yet. To borrow from Darian chat, like I don't know if like this is like an order of magnitude more difficult probably is to decipher like fact from fiction in terms of like reporting and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I guess I suppose, but like it's good to know you're not so I suppose apprehensive when it comes to this if it's a possibility.
Sure.
Because I think it's something to consider.
Okay.
Maybe. Cheers, thanks.
Cool. Thanks, John Shai. Okay, next question is from That Quiet Kid. Do you think that expropriation without compensation is a good policy for the South African government to enact, specifically against white South Africans?
It probably wouldn't be, but 99% of the time somebody wants to talk about South Africans. It reminds me of libertarians that want to talk about raping kids, and usually it's just some racist piece of shit that's like desperately trying to find some area of the world where they believe white genocide is being like perpetrated so that they can feel bad while they're sitting in their mom's basement with like a steady stream of tendies coming down and they shitpost on 4chan and Twitter about how like the white race is under threat. South African issues are some of the most boring in the world to debate because nobody approaches them in good faith. It's literally just like a fucking tool that people took from fucking Mommy Lauren Southern to go and argue about how white genocide is real. Yeah, fuck everything related to the people that like hijack that situation like so fucking hard to try to shove some shitty fucking narrative about it. It's really disgusting.
Okay, speaking of people hijacking narratives, Brownie, you're up whenever you're ready.
So I've got this problem because I watch both this little guy called Bonelli and Vosh, and I really like these left-wing content creators, but the problem is that they don't really get along really well. So what can we do to make you two basically make up and kind of create an alliance? Because I know Hassan is a low IQ individual, so we can't do it with him. But I think
me and Vosh are cool. I usually don't mind. The biggest problems that I have with other creators are just usually their fan bases. Like I get along with a large number of creators, but all of their fan bases fucking hate me for whatever fucking reason, because they're like more ideologically driven than the actual content creator themselves. But I'm pretty sure like me and Vosh are okay. Just all of his fans like absolutely fucking hate me.
But the problem is that DGG also hates Vosh. Like they're actually really autistic.
That is not. It is so not true that my fan base hates other creators.
I'm reading the chat right now, Destiny. What are you talking about?
I would bet my life on it. Like, dude, Vosh is literally in my chat talking with people. Like, I banned him like 2 weeks ago. He's in chat and people will chat with him. If I were to go into Vosh's community, people would like fucking relentlessly fucking shit on me. People, when there's threads posted, dude, go and find threads posted on his fucking subreddit about me, and it's fucking insane. It's like unbelievable. Even his fucking girlfriend, like 3 days ago, was posting about how I was like I think it's because he was abused early in life is why he's such a horrible piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, the level is not even remotely similar, okay? My community is way more accepting of other content creators versus other communities that fucking hate me for whatever reason.
Okay, buddy. So like you said that you would bet your life on it, so I will email you in like a week and I'll give you some screenshots. Also, can you say trans rights?
No, I'm not saying fucking no. And also, yeah, email me.
Okay, so you hate trans people, nice.
If that's what that means, then go for it. I love you, buddy. Be careful, okay?
Okay, thanks, Brownie. Okay, next question's from Exotic. What are your thoughts on gender abolitionism?
It's complicated. I don't know how I feel about it. On one end, I think gender abolitionism is a cool idea, that we would stop like defining things across like a rigid like male female binary, or that like you have to be like of a certain male part to have like certain male characters or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I think that'd be cool to get rid of that because it would just open up a lot more flexibility in society. However, it might also be that gender identities are very important to people, and that like you actually need these for people to have like coherent minds that function well in society and relate to other people. I don't know the answer to that. It's hard to say, but yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Omar. Do you think that gender fluid people like as Eddie Izzard, who promote the idea that wearing a dress puts you in girl mode with the associated pronouns and wearing a business suit puts you in man mode with the associated pronouns, reinforce harmful gender stereotypes and hurt the trans rights movement overall?
Man, dude, I don't know. That's all so complicated. I can't answer it. You could probably write papers on this topic. I've always thought it's very hard to navigate the idea that like we shouldn't be so strict about masculine and feminine traits, but then you've got like trans people that go hardcore for a certain gender expression, thinking that makes them appear more masculine or feminine or be interpreted that way so that they can experience some form of gender euphoria, because it seems like that reinforces that male-female binary. It's an incredibly complicated topic to navigate. In terms of people doing harm or hurting certain, like, I don't know, it's hard. That's a really, really hard one. I don't have a good answer for that. I'm sorry. You could talk a lot around these topics. I don't have strong opinions one way or another. Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Galactic Boog. As soon as I find this dude, you really need to stop changing your name, Mike. I can't find him. I'll get to him later. Next question is going to be from Apo.
All right, how's it going? I just came in here like 5 minutes ago, so I'm not sure if this question was asked before, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again. Do you think it's morally okay for Twitter to blatantly target right-wingers and censor them, but turn a blind eye to dictators like the Iranian president, despite being a corporation, of course?
So I'm pretty sure left and right-leaning people both get fucked by Twitter sometimes. As somebody that is a left-leaning person who's currently permanently banned on Twitter, I'm pretty sure that's true. And then Twitter has targeted some left-wing like things in the past as well. So I remember when the Trump... Wait, what was it? Oh, when the Hunter Biden stuff got posted, they had like a hacked materials policy that they wouldn't let that be posted on Twitter. A lot of people thought that, oh, that's Twitter targeting right-wingers. But like prior to that, there was a bunch of stuff leaked about like cops that was leaked by left-wing people to try to dox cops, and Twitter silenced that too. So yeah, I think that they are relatively even-handed on that. Now, when it comes to like the Trump stuff and the banning of all the Trump people, that is really fucking weird to me. I don't support it. I don't approve of it. That's like very strange that you have like fucking like dictators from other countries and shit. You've got like Maduro and fucking China and shit posting on fucking Twitter, and like Trump and all of his associates are banned. That seems like very fucking strange to me, and very stupid and very virtue signaling and very dumb to me. I don't know. I just think it's really dumb.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Appa. Okay, next question is going to be from Mike again. I found him, Church of NTR. Go for it.
So I've got two questions. In Trump's long line of pardoning criminals, war criminals such as Michael Bahena and Clint Lawrence, and his other friends in connection with the special counsel's investigation for collusion with the Russians, do you think Biden should sully his name by pardoning a criminal and traitor such as Snowden, who was debunked by his own leaked records and subsequent many declassified records thereafter? That's the first one.
So are you just asking me if Snowden should be pardoned, or are you asking if Snowden should be pardoned in like in revenge for who Trump has pardoned? You're kind of begging the question. Like, you're giving me so much. Well, if Snowden is like this horrible, evil person that's been disproven, well, then obviously it sounds like he probably shouldn't be pardoned, I guess. So.
Okay, cool. And the next one would be then, what do you think the Biden administration should do to punish Russia for its interference in 2016 through to 2020?
I don't know. I don't even know how you would begin to punish other countries like that. Cybersecurity has always been like a really big deal that we don't really talk very much about publicly, except when huge hacks happen, which they have been. I don't know if it's sanctions or what. I don't know what. Before America can punish or do anything with anybody, we need to kind of like be friends with the world again, and we need to start working together with our allies closely again before we can exert any kind of pressure on people.
Amen.
I'm way more interested right now in like working together with other countries, like getting the Iranian deal back up, thawing relations with Cuba, thawing relations with Iran. Like getting that kind of stuff going is something I'm way more interested in than like how do we punish some other country for fucking with our elections and shit right now.
Fair enough. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is going to be from Rex Regum. Do you think a doctor who refuses to perform a late-term abortion should be punished?
Are abortions performed at like normal hospitals, or are they performed at like special like dedicated clinics?
I have no idea. I feel like they're at dedicated clinics, because I've heard like abortion clinic thrown around, but I honestly have no idea.
No, if you're a doctor, you need to be able to perform every procedure that is like currently like allotted. Well, oh fuck, hold on, I have to think about this. What do you mean? What do we mean by late-term abortion? I guess.
Late-term abortion is third trimester, if I remember.
Hold on, I should be more clear. Do they mean just like, oh, like I'm 8.5 months pregnant, I want an abortion, or do we mean like the mother is like on the fucking table dying from a pregnancy complication and you have to abort the fetus or something like?
Rex, I'm gonna unmute you. Maybe you can clear this up. Rex. It's not even there, this fucker. Okay.
Well, we don't really need him.
Yeah,
the question, it's complicated. The question is like, if you're a doctor, should you have to perform every single procedure that is currently legal? I fall on yes. I think you should have to. But then so I'm trying to think mentally, well, is there a procedure that exists that I disagree with, that I would feel bad if a doctor got fired for not doing it? And my mind went to circumcision. Let's say there was a doctor in a hospital, he was the only one available, and they're like, hey, a newborn infant is here, we need to circumcise him. And the doctor's like, well, hold on, I don't agree with that. I think even in that case, though, I think if you're a doctor, your job isn't to pick and choose which procedures you want to do. Like, as long as you're qualified for it and the hospital employs you, you should probably have to do whatever it is you're assigned to do. It's not the doctor's call, I don't think, to decide whether or not they should or shouldn't do a particular procedure. Even if I agree or disagree with it, I don't think it's I don't think it's the doctor's call at the time to do it. That's what I would say. That's a harsh answer, but like, yeah, I don't think it's the doctor's decision to be deciding what procedures should or shouldn't be available to families. That should be the policy of the hospital or the laws and regulations of whatever country you exist in. Yeah.
Okay. Chad, you can go if you wanted to go. I think I wanted to say something.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to thank one of your mods from your chat, Lemmywings. He's been like really, really helpful and like just a nice member of your community that like has helped heaps people in your community. So I just wanted to like say thank you to him, I guess.
Oh well, Lemmywings is a cool dude. Big Twitch mod. He messages me sometimes to get like emotes and shit at it, and yeah, everybody in Twitch likes him, I think. So nice.
True guy.
Wait, did you literally just come here to chat at one of the Twitch mods? What the? Oh, sorry.
I guess so. Actually, I'm curious. Why won't you say trans rights? Like, what's the?
I don't know why. So because I don't like virtue signaling stupid fucking shit. I don't know if it's been like a new meme where people come and like, oh, say trans rights. Like, fuck, I'm not gonna fucking say trans rights. Like, I argue with that. Argue for. I have the position for, but the whole comment.
You're just like anti-cringe, basically.
Yeah, it's like cringe. Like, if somebody would come and say, like, oh, say black rights. Like, no, I'm not gonna fucking say black rights. It's cringe as fuck. Yeah, that's it. I don't know if it's like a new meme or whatever. I don't care about it. It's cringy as fuck to me. But a lot of like online LGBT activism is cringy as fuck to me. So yeah. Okay.
Next question is from No Persona. Should the age of majority / adulthood require emancipation instead of being automatic after time?
Should the rights of, wait, say that one more time? Should the rights of
should the age of majority / adulthood require emancipation instead of being automatic after time?
When you say emancipation, you're talking about going to a court and becoming like legally freed from your parents?
I believe so.
That sounds like really complicated. It sounds like it would clog the fuck up out of our court system. I mean, assuming that all of the, assuming that we had like a process for it, I had to think a lot about it because there's probably going to be like a lot of hurdles that's going to prevent like certain types of people from going through that process and shit. No, I don't think anything's wrong with just becoming age of majority at 18. I think that's fine. Or whatever age it's going to be, yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Zeus. Considering the heavy political tensions, do you think it's more productive to unite with prominent progressive thinkers like Kyle Kalinske, Jimmy Dore, etc., rather than staying divided.
No, Kulinski and Dor are cancers that need to be ejected as quickly as possible from the leftosphere. These people are not only astonishingly fucking stupid and clueless, they spread misinformation. They have a lot of these people seem like they legitimately can't read, or at least they can't read past Twitter headlines. They have no comprehension of how our political system works or how to be politically effective. They are snake in the grass grifter fucks that will just say whatever the fuck they can to pander to their fan base and get more and more money. These people are cancerous as fuck. We should never, ever, ever try to appeal to these types of tumors. They should be fucking chemotherapy, radiation therapy out the fucking ass and just ejected summarily. Fuck all of these, like the Bad Faith podcast, that Bree girl or whatever, Kyle Kulinski, Jimmy Dore, all of these types of figures are just horrible people. They're bad human beings that are like disgusting blights on our system of like not only YouTube entertainment, but like our political systems in general. Fuck all of them. Crystal Ball, yeah, all these dumb fucks.
Okay. Has Kyle Kulinski ever debated you, by the way? I knew you were trying to set that up.
No, he will never debate me. We had one conversation once where I was trying to be friendly because Asana was in the conversation as well, but I don't think Kyle Kulinski would ever do debates because most of what he says is like one Google search away from being absolutely fucking false. Like this guy is barely reading Twitter headlines and he's getting hundreds of thousands of views on his videos, just say stupid shit. Where he went, well, like this guy's posting videos of like, oh, Amy Klobuchar is against the $2,000. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just watch the 2-minute fucking video. That's clearly not what she said. Like like Kyle Kulinski, honest to God, at this point, like I think Tim Pool is more intelligent than Kulinski. I would say that, and I would feel like pretty confident about it. Kyle Kulinski is just like astonishingly fucking stupid. Like I think that if you wanted to see an evenly matched fair debate, it would be like Kyle Kulinski against Sargon of Akkad. Like that's how fucking stupid this guy is. Like I don't know what the fuck rotted his brain. I've seen videos of him from like 10 years ago where he seems to be pretty intelligent. I know what rotted his brain actually. It's the fucking populist paychecks. Because anytime somebody's gonna pay you for having a stupid fucking opinion, all you're going to talk is a bunch of diarrhea.
Okay, well, I need to step away from for like 10 minutes. I think my dog hurt herself. But Mr. Cube is going to take over for a little bit. Cube, you ready? Okay, go for it. I'll be right back.
All right, what's up, Destiny? Big fan.
Hi, what's up?
All right, first question we got is, can America still maintain their position as the best economy in the world, or is it too late to stop China?
I mean, China just has some numbers, man. China has so many fucking people. I mean, eventually they're going to overtake us, but the key to America's power is probably working together with other countries, and it seems like we've kind of forgotten that over the past 4 years. So.
All right, the next one is Poly. Poly, where are you? Or no, Pylon. All right, Pylon, you're unmuted.
Hi. So I actually had two questions, but it doesn't matter which one. Do you think that it's possible that healthcare in the United States can actually move towards a more subsidized system, whether that be free for under 18 or free for under 12 or for certain segments of the population? Do you think it's actually possible?
Yeah, I mean, the ACA kind of made steps in that direction, and then hopefully under Biden we continue to make steps in that direction, more like Medicaid, Medicare expansions and stuff like that. Yeah, hopefully.
And then my other question was, how do you feel about women in leadership and combat positions? Should it be promoted more in the United States as long as requirements to enter those positions are equal across males and females?
I think requirements need to be equal. I think dropping requirements for combat positions is a huge fucking mistake and a recipe for fucking disaster. But I mean, if they can do it, if they've got the physical aptitude to do it, then I think they should be allowed to do it, of course. Yeah.
But should it be promoted? Like, should the military be promoting it to like women that can do this? Should they be promoting that?
Yeah, I mean, as long as women can do it, yeah, I think that encouraging that is fine. I think that the military still hasn't seemed to figure out how to like integrate women well into combat positions. It seems to be very difficult. Whether it's possible or not, I guess remains to be seen. But yeah, I mean, if they want to promote it, I mean, it's a wide pool for them to draw recruits from and shit. It seems like it would benefit the military to do so. Yeah, and I'm not like ideologically opposed to it. It just seems like yeah, as long as they're not dropping requirements for it. I don't know why, but I hope this isn't fake news. I feel like at one point when I was looking at the, there's a name for the fitness test or whatever to be in the military. Like, I think women's fitness tests are actually like, it's just lesser numbers of like pull-ups and push-ups and stuff. And it's like, if you need to be able to like climb into a fucking helicopter with a backpack full of shit, like it seems like that's just something you need to be able to do. I don't know like why being a woman, you would have like a lesser requirement to get into the military. So as long as the standards are the same, I'm in favor of them doing whatever the fuck they want for pushing stuff. Yeah. The ASVAB, that might be what I'm thinking of. I don't know.
Is it all, Pylon?
Yeah, that'll be all.
All right. Thank you. All right, next we have female anime king. She wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, so I just have two questions. So, do you think Riot Games has like a double standard when it comes to like not taking the NEOM investment from Saudi Arabia because of their LGBTQ rights, while at the same time taking investment from China when they're just like massacring minorities in like the Xinjiang province? Do you think they have like a double standard here and like should be called out for it?
I don't know enough about either of these things. In terms, you're just talking about who they get like foreign investments from, basically.
Yeah, so essentially they didn't take foreign investment from Saudi Arabia because like they treat LGBTQ people like in a bad way, but they still take investment from China when they China like obviously puts people in camps. So they put like this, I guess, the virtue signal game in which they say, yeah, Saudi Arabia is bad, but they don't really comment on China.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah, because Tencent and everything. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's stupid. Yeah, they should get called out for it. But, I mean, people want that Chinese money, so, and the Chinese markets, so, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a quick other follow-up question. Not a follow-up, but like a random question. As like a trans person going through like HRT, do you think trans people should be allowed to go to like the opposite genders like washroom? So like as a trans female, should I be allowed to go into like the female washroom and like the opposite for like the other side?
I mean, like, I think so. Honest to God, I think the whole issue around restrooms is just really dumb. I think that, you know, the easiest way to solve this is we should just have like fucking every gendered restrooms. Like, I don't know. Like spending time in Sweden, they do this at a lot of places, and it's not a big deal. In some places they have gendered restrooms. In other places you just go into a big room and there's like toilets for everybody. I don't know. Having like mixed restrooms, I don't think is that big a deal. People should just go into whatever restroom they identify with. Like, who the fuck cares? I don't think it's that big a deal. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great question, Queen. All right, the next one is... I think Conical had a question. Where was it? Oh, here it is. Do you support a federal mask mandate?
Assuming the empirical evidence is there to protect people, yeah. I think so. Like, fuck.
You don't have any worry about like it being like too authoritarian, like all these like boomers on Twitter are like
I'm okay if we have an authoritarian government that is authoritarianly against like the massive spreading of disease. I'm okay with that form of authoritarianism. I think that enforcing stuff like mask wearing right now, I think would be okay.
All right, base.
Jesus fucking Christ. We've had 4,000 dead 3 days in a row. I just looked the numbers up. Holy shit.
All right, Udi2, you got a question? You're unmuted.
All right, thanks, man. Are you for legalizing all drugs, Destiny?
Yeah, fuck it, yeah.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah.
That's quick. Okay, this is a long one. This is by Massage. What needs to be done to get everybody on either side of the political spectrum to at least agree on minimal aspects of the same reality? As of right now, it feels like both sides don't know what they disagree on. So how do we get to a point where we can continue in a productive manner as a more unified country?
I have no idea. If I knew the answer, I'd make billions of dollars selling it. I don't know. I wish I knew the answer to get people to agree on shit. I don't know.
Yeah, that was interesting, Massage.
And I'm back.
Wow.
Hi.
All right, Dubes. How many questions we got left?
My dog is fine.
Nice.
Well, I figured we'd go for like 2 hours. I know you want to get to playing Ross. So how was 3 or 4 more?
Yeah. Okay.
Is that okay?
What do you got?
Okay. Let's go with. This is. Oh, that's fucking boring. Oh, Base Solon again. Actually, he's upset about you being mean to Jimmy Dore, who's a fucking I can't say that word. Idiot. Solon, go for it. Solon?
What did Jimmy Dore do to deserve being called a tumor?
What honestly, I haven't watched much of Jimmy Dore's shit. The two biggest things are one, the force the vote for Medicare for all is one of the dumbest fucking ideas I've heard of in my entire life. It's one of the few things where if I hear your opinion on something, I know that I can dismiss every other thing you say because you'll never, ever, ever even accidentally utter something of value for the rest of your political existence. Such a stupid fucking idea. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was watching him waffle on his Medicare for all shit. based on whether Tulsi was talking to him or somebody else was just incredibly fucking embarrassing. It reeked of grifting. Yeah, that's my two. Based on that, there's probably a whole bunch of other dumb shit that he says that I'm just not aware of, but those are the two things that I've like off the top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah, that one just rubbed you close to the bone. Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Next question is from me. Do you think that, given that what Trump did a few days ago, I think could pretty easily be classified as some form of like inciting a riot, right? And inciting insurrection even. Do you think it would be useful politically for the Democrats to push to have him arrested? Right, if it were possible, have him arrested, charged.
I think that it would be bad. I think it would be bad for the unity of the country, and I think that it would look really bad to have like an ex-sitting U.S. president in jail. I think that it would do a lot of damage between the Republicans and Democrats. But if they were to do it, I wouldn't say anything. Like, fuck. I don't know. That's a really, really rough one. Trump is really testing the limits of like, we probably shouldn't arrest prior presidents. It sets a bad precedent. But like, god damn, this motherfucker is insane. Holy shit.
But it's like, how far can they go before we like, there has to be like consequences, right?
Yeah, that's what I would imagine. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's really hard. That's a super hard question. I'd have to go in the tank for like 6 fucking hours and bust out the notepad and start writing a bunch of shit down to figure out like where I would truly come down on this at the end of the day. That's a really, really, really rough question because I have to weigh it against it. Like the precedent of like punishing an ex-president for things that they've done is just so scary because when a president is acting, you don't really want them necessarily like considering like, am I going to get arrested for this? Like these aren't like, it's a difficult thing. Like you don't want them second guessing certain decisions, but in some ways that doesn't mean that a president should be ultimately unaccountable, right? Like it's a really, really, really difficult thing to measure out. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Next question's from Coperus. You're unmuted.
That is correct. Hey man. Sorry if this question is a little bit too broad. I probably just want to gauge your like intuition on this question. Okay. So more homogeneous societies versus more multicultural societies. Example comes to mind like China, where the Han population is dominating the most, and United States. Which ones do you think are more effective in terms, for example, of gathering power? Maybe other metrics that you find are relevant in the,
I feel like people are always going to find ways to fight with each other over what they look like. Like in America, we literally call white people, and in Europe, you guys have like 50 different flavors of white people in every single country. I like the idea that if we just got rid of all the people of a certain skin color, we just wouldn't start dividing ourselves on other lines. I think is not only untrue, I think it's a little bit ahistorical as well. Like for instance, like it's kind of strange to me that there are a lot of Serbian Nazis that exist on the internet today, or a lot of people that appear white that wouldn't have been considered Aryan when they're dying in Auschwitz. So like I don't know, like the idea that if we could just like make our society homogenous in certain ways, it would be beneficial. I don't know if that's true or not. Also, I think that like if there is a path forward where a more globalized multicultural society works, it behooves you to figure it out quicker than anybody else. And I think to some extent, I think the United States has. I mean, we definitely have our fucking problems, but holy fucking shit. If you go to like any like major like Western country and outside of like fucking like London and Paris and like I can't even think of any other big like any big European cities outside of like at least those two. American cities are incredibly fucking diverse, and it seems like it works like pretty well for the most part. Like I know that we exaggerate our differences, but like we've got like all sorts of motherfuckers living in a lot of our cities, and it seems like it works for the most part. Like we all go to work, we all generally get along. Like we have crime problems obviously in areas, but yeah, I think that there is a way forward where we can make a multicultural, globalized society work. I think that we can share values that don't have to just fall across like racial divides. I think that's possible. I have the hopes that that's like a thing that we can actually accomplish without needing to like banish every non-white person or non-black person, non-brown person from a community.
I am actually very fascinated by the United States and Canada, how you guys are actually have managed to incorporate so many other different groups under the umbrella of what it is to be an American or Canadian. I'm from Lithuania personally, and I have been called out for being like someone from like a different ethnicity or whatever, even though there's like everybody's like super white there.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, that's something I noticed with like Europeans too, is that like if like as an American, it's kind of like I think that to Americans, white people are kind of like cats, where like when you look at like a cat, like, well, what breed of cat is that? I was like, I don't know. It's a fucking cat. At least for me, I can't see like different types of wipe. I don't know if they're fucking Russian or German, or unless you literally wear like a fucking Hitler stash, or you're like a fucking 6'4" tall and you look like the dude from Rocky. I don't know like what kind of wipers here. But I feel like when I go to European countries, I feel like my European friends are much quicker to be like, oh shit, like that dude is super British, or that dude is like super German, that dude is super French. Like, okay, I have no idea how you see that, because like it's all the same shit to me. But I feel like Europeans are a lot better at distinguishing that than Americans are. And that's just a feeling, a general feeling I have. I could be wrong on that, but that's like the general like feeling I get living in the US and then visiting Europe.
Yeah, there's some funny aspects of that. Thank you for answering the question. I'd really love to have a chance to talk to you someday, but you know,
sure,
it remains to be seen.
All right, I love you, buddy. Be careful.
Cool. Thank you, Mr. Copras. Okay. Next one is Monkey. Monkey, you are unmuted. Monkey. This bitch. Okay, I'll read out this question.
Okay.
What do you think the outcome will be of the new California age limit for sex changes with minors, for minors? And what do you think the future result will be for the rest of America if that idea continues to spread?
What does the age limit change to?
I actually have I'm in California. I had no idea we changed that. Well, I mean, I guess we could take it as a general question, right? Do you think that it would be that sex changes for minors who, are trans? Do you think that's something that should be allowed? Should be explored?
Yeah, I thought whatever the current APA recommendations are on that, I would just say whatever. Like, if it's more beneficial for like puberty blockers and shit to start earlier, then yeah, do that, I guess. If it improves outcomes, that's all I would say.
Okay. Next question is from Positive Pancake. Should the government crack down on sex trafficking? And if so, what type of policies would do so? Also, should the government do something to compensate people who've been trafficked before?
Compensating people that have been trafficked is a weird one. Crack down on sex trafficking. Personally, I feel like sex trafficking is bad, so if you can reduce it, that's probably a good thing. I don't know if that's a trick question or not, but yeah.
I think they're looking for like the chance you might say, oh yeah, no, sex trafficking is good, don't crack down on that.
Okay, yeah, I would say that my personal opinion, now this is a bit of a hot take, I know, is personally, as somebody that's watched all 3 Taken documentaries, I think sex trafficking is pretty bad. So I would be in favor of like cracking down on that. Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from, let's go with Bassett. Bassett, you're unmuted. Bassett? Sir, ma'am? Okay, I'll read your question. Since Destiny has been self-educating himself more in the Soviet Union, do you think... Oh, you ready? Hello?
Oh, yeah. So, I'm sorry, I was muted. The question is about, since Destiny, since you've been self-educating yourself more on crimes of like the Soviet Union, communist China, do you think that, at least would you say that like, Soviet posting, Stalin worship, Holodomor denial, and other Soviet genocide denial is on a morally equivalent level with Hitler worship,
yes.
like neo-Nazis, that sort of thing?
Yes, 100%.
All right,
same
so
exact thing.
With that, can I have a follow-up? So why on your Discord are they not treated the same?
I'm pretty sure we do ban tankies and shit, don't we?
I've had personal conversations with a few of your mods, Amelie especially, and they've both said that they don't think that they're not enforcing that they don't think it's morally equivalent, that they don't. Amelie herself said that she doesn't think like Stalin posting hammer and sickle shit is associated with like genocide or crimes, so she's not enforcing that.
The hammer and sickle one is a little bit more complicated because there are a bunch of like fucking lefty movements throughout the world that still use like the hammer and sickle stuff, but I think that like the Stalin worship and the Holodomor denial shit is all really cringe, and I think it should be treated the same way. I don't know what the particular rules are on my Discord server. If I was the one making the rules, I would ban it, but my Discord server is kind of like a separate entity from me. But like Stalin worship and like having like the big like Soviet text and all of that shit is so fucking cringe. I put it on the exact same level as Holocaust denial shit. It's super ultra fucking cringe and disgusting.
Last question, I guess this is sort of a follow-up. since you've been talking more, it seems like you used to say like, socialism is not as bad. There are some memers, but the majority of them are doing pretty well. You seem to be moving more towards like
socialism. I used to say the majority of socialist countries are doing okay, or what? Say that again.
No, people, not the countries. So it used to seem more at least open to like having like socialist content creators. You used to talk to them a lot more. It seems that you're starting to get more jaded by them, and you're more open to saying like, no, these people are all bad. Like, at some point, all of the denial of crimes.
Because I didn't realize how many of them were fucking mask on. Like, and I didn't realize that. I guess like all forms of extremism work the same, I guess. And I was a little bit fucking naive on that. Like when somebody comes up to me and they're like, hey, so I just want to see, I'm curious what you think about genetics and intelligence. Just wondering. And also here's some comments about South Africa. It's like, okay, well, like, okay, dude, I know what you're fucking trying to do, right? And I guess in the past, when I hear like, so like these dipshits like fucking Hassan and shit are like, oh yeah, I'm a sock dem, like I'm a social democrat, blah, 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 blah. I didn't realize that these people were like fucking LARPing as like lefties behind the scenes. I didn't realize that they were all actually fucking commies, just waiting for them to shed their sock dem mask so that they could walk around and like fucking LARP as champagne socials. I didn't know that that was going to happen. But that, you know what, that's 100%.
Denims did that recently.
What?
Denims did that recently.
Oh yeah,
1 month.
She's like hardcore lefty now, isn't she?
Well, not only that, I got banned from her community because I happened to know one of the people she was collaborating with, Hakeem. And she brought this guy for a collaborative stream. This guy is a genocide he denies more genocide than the average neo-Nazi.
Wait. Hakeem isn't the doctor guy that I talked to, is it? This is a different Hakeem?
No. I hope it's a different guy.
Okay.
Hakeem's like this Marxist-Leninist YouTuber.
No, okay, different guy. Yeah.
Brought him on for a collaborative work to talk about how Disney was racist, and this guy's literally like, he denies the Anfal genocide, which was a genocide committed by the Iraqis against Kurdish minorities. He denies the Holodomor. He denies all of the ethnic cleansing and shit targeting like Poles and Jews in the Soviet Union. He denies the current Uyghur genocide, and it was funny because she was doing that same thing. If you're interested, would you be, and I'm not an expert academic on this, but I study history and literature. Would you be interested talking more, since it seems that at least maybe not the out and out like authoritarianism, but it seems that justification for it seems to be on the rise, and like these formerly like, oh, I'm like a libertarian socialist community things.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in talking more about that?
It feels like it's on an unstoppable build now. Like, but like, I think that like right now there's like a huge rise online in lefty circles where like the sexy thing right now is to be a socialist or communist. And so with that, it's going to be all of these people tacitly or implicitly endorsing like Holodomor or denialism or ML dipshits like running around, or people saying Tiananmen Square didn't happen. Like that's just going to be fostered in all of these left-leaning communities. It happens in Hassan's community, it happens in Vosh's community, it happens in all these other communities. Even though some of them try, to be fair, I shouldn't lump Vosh in there because he does try to push back against that quite a bit.
Vosh is like, just did a stream with Hakeem saying like, where Hakeem was like, oh, I'm a libertarian socialist now. I just have a different opinion.
I understand. I'm trying not to pin him on it because I know that he fights against a lot of the ML like LARPing shit. It's possible that he had this guy and he just didn't know this guy's views. I'm giving him the benefit of it out there. I don't 100% know, but I give him the benefit of it on that. But like, yeah, in a lot of these lefty communities, this more extreme left-leaning bullshit is going to foster the same way that centrists gave rise to these crazy like alt-righters and super right-leaning people. Like it's just going to happen, but I think it's inevitable at this point. So yeah.
Right. Well, if you are interested, I'm from Romania, probably one of the worst communist shitholes that ever existed. I'm actually been affected directly from state policy just because of their women's rights shit. That affected my mother. But if you're ever interested in talking, I'd love to chat with more about that. And I don't want to take anybody else's time, so thanks for having the MA. It's nice.
Great. Fun. Thanks. Last question is going to be from JavaBull. How do you think Biden should tackle systemic racism during his presidency?
How does Biden tackle systemic racism?
Yeah, I guess he's asking for like specific policies that you think might help.
So I know that if you go to joebiden.com/ I think Black America, he's listed out like a ton of different policies that he wants to implement, like things similar to like the Platinum Plan, I think, from Trump and whatnot. So like funding to HBCUs, funding to Black communities, like preferential loans and shit, which are all fine. Usually when people talk about like systemic injustice against blacks, usually the thing we focus on in the US is the criminal justice system, even though that's only one part, sometimes a very small part. And I mean, that has to be fixed at like local levels. So yeah, I don't know. that it's for any one man to fix like systemic racism is going to be hard. And right now, that's probably not even a top 5 issue right now to the U.S. in a Biden presidency. Like if I had to think of the top 5 issues, 1 is the coronavirus, almost for sure. Although hopefully with the vaccine that goes away. 2 is going to be in general the economy, like repairing jobs and everything. 3 is going to be healthcare, abso-fucking-lutely. I'm going to guess that 4 is probably going to be something to do with like immigration, because the DACA question and all of that I think is still kind of hanging over our heads. And then past that, probably something related to climate change, if that's not higher up on the list. Like if I just had a ballpark like off my head, those are probably the top 5 issues coming in. I don't know like where systemic injustice, unless there are more riots or something, is going to be on that list. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming around again. For all those people in chat who were wondering when the AMA was. This is a politics Discord server. If you want to get here and talk to these terrible people, it's discord.gg/politics. Destiny, we always love to talk to you. Hope to speak to you again. Have fun in Ross.
Yeah, thanks a lot, buddy. I love you. Be careful. Stay safe. I can, if you
later.
want, I can like answer a couple of questions. I ordered food. I'm just waiting for it to get here. So.
Oh, okay.
Or what did you?
Okay. Yeah, there are tons of people that were upset that we're closing up. So, Bay Solon is upset again. Bay, whenever you're ready.
No, I'm not upset, Dewey. What are you talking about?
You seem upset. You seem pretty salty. Okay, go.
No,
go for it.
Yeah. I just wanted to touch on something you mentioned earlier. You said.
You there?
Yeah, sorry. 1 second. Just trying to find it again. Yeah, so you mentioned that you're like optimistic about this kind of globalistic future society. I'm just curious what do you say to folks who believe that globalism is like inherently like going to be like the death of their species, like the old power structure, conservative white male? What do you say to those folks who believe that they're going to be the ones that like excluded and like from future society? You know what I mean?
I mean, like, dude, societies and cultures have changed throughout all of human history. Like the idea that we're going to freeze frame it where it's at right now is just delusional. So you're better off trying to take advantage of the future society and what it's going to be, rather than pretending that you can stop anything from changing ever, because things are going to change whether you like them or not. So better to like hop on the train and just get used to it and be able to take advantage of it going forward, rather than be dragged kicking and screaming into the new age.
So I guess what I'm trying to really, is there any way to, this has kind of been asked to you 1,000 times really, so I guess there's no point asking again, because you don't have the answer. Like, I'm just trying to find like the bridge of civility somewhere, you know, with like all that's happened recently.
I mean, the bridge of civility is, I don't know. Like if you're that ass mad about, I don't think it's like a majority position that like our way of life or like white people are going to disappear. That I think that's a little bit more fringe. So I don't know if I'm as interested in appealing to those people. But I mean, like, I guess I would say that like, listen, like you can still have your white community. You can have your white friends. You can have your white Discord. You're like, do what you want. I guess it's not like you can still exist. Like knock yourself out. I don't think anybody's going to keep you from doing that.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Okay. Have fun. Be careful.
I guess you weren't upset. Okay. Marcy, you're up. Go for it.
Hey, Destiny. I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact and like efforts to kind of use the Electoral College less and less as a crutch as like the population tends to like concentrate in the cities?
Yeah, the National Popular Vote Interstate, that's the thing that's like if 26 states or whatever, or it's some number of states agree, they basically nullify the electoral vote or something, right?
Yeah, it's about like making sure that the popular vote means more than just like a bragging rights number.
I mean, I'm not a fan of voting for a head of state by strictly popular vote. That's just how I personally feel. So yeah, I mean, like I'm okay with like a little bit more power being tipped towards smaller states and a little less power being tipped towards bigger states.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. But are you at all like in favor of any reforms to the electoral college system as it currently exists?
Yes, I think that the restriction on I think that the number of representatives in the House should be increased to make that more like proportional, and then after that, the electoral vote I think should be more proportional towards larger states as well, because they'd gain representatives, so they'd gain electoral votes. I think would be like I think that'd be a positive change. So you'd still have like the +2, the senator advantage or whatever for smaller states, but then it would be a little bit more proportional, so people in bigger states aren't getting bullied around by smaller states. That's one. And the second thing was, I think all electoral votes, I think they should be doled out like proportionally as well. I think winner take all is kind of dumb. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And just one more part to this question. I wanted to ask, what's your opinion on like other forms of voting, like ranked choice voting, to kind of diminish the like spoiler effect that third parties have been having in our elections?
I think ranked choice is awesome. I don't know why we wouldn't do it. I think it'd be cool. And then if people that clamor for third parties like really want them there, it'd give them an opportunity to spring up. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thanks.
Yep. Bye.
Okay. Next question is from G Brown. Actually, it says G Brown. Yeah. G Brown wants to know if you think sex is a social construct, and if it is, how.
If sex or gender is a social construct.
Sex.
Without getting too hard into it, like every single category is constructed by man. Categories, in my opinion, don't exist in nature. They just don't. We put borders and distinctions around things because when we group things up, it allows us to recognize things. Now, just because something is a social construct doesn't mean that it doesn't represent some real underlying descriptive like fact of the universe, though. So male and female are arbitrary constructed categories in terms of ways that we view people, even when it comes to sex. But I mean, like that typically those categories will be like resembling or referring to very real underlying physical truths. So like penises exist insofar as like a penis is like an organ that exists, that we understand the shape and size and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I don't know if that's like a satisfactory question. Like a lot of people are quick to say like, oh, this isn't socially constructed. And someone's like, oh, well, that is a social construct. And then when people are like, oh, it's a social construct, it means nothing. Well, social construct, everything is socially constructed, but that doesn't mean it's meaningless. Like social constructs are very real. Like cars are a social construct. There is no such thing as a fucking car. If we were to break down a car and leave it in the middle of the forest, a deer is not going to walk up to it and understand it to be a car or understand any of its functions. Like even separating out like some matter from other matter is like a human way of like, instilling patterns into the, not instilling, is a way of, there's a word I'm looking for, is a way of like seeing patterns in places. But like, just because that's true doesn't mean that like the car, what we recognize as a car, isn't real. Like it still exists, and there are underlying like descriptive things there that are parts of the world as well. Sorry, that's really complicated, but yeah. Or it's not that complicated, but that's my answer, yeah.
No, it's pretty straightforward. Okay. Boomman,
wait, what's the word that I'm looking for? We tend to blank patterns. We tend to not inscribe, not infer. There's a word that I'm looking for. We're not going forward on this until somebody gets the word I'm thinking of. Not imbue. Maybe project patterns. Oh, impose. That's it. Sorry. We impose patterns on things, and it helps us like understand and recognize things. That's what I'm looking for. The imposing patterns. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Man, you're up.
Yep, thanks. Just wanted to say, Destiny, I've been listening in. I don't usually listen to much of your stuff, but this has all been fantastic, and I'm really happy you're here because there's been a lot of misinformation, which you've already talked about in the past, just in media and other things making people act. And I've heard a lot about you, and, really you've cleared it all, and I think you're bloody fantastic.
Well, thanks.
But anyways, enough ass kissing. We'll get on to the question, which is, my question was on China. One of my worries as an Australian is that China is going to continue to expand and try and influence not only our economy, but also our politicians and our people. And I'm just wondering, do you think that Joe Biden will do more to push back against that? Do you think he has much interest, or do you think the American people, even because he will work for the American people, do you think he will do his best to, I don't know, maybe help us out as well?
To help you guys like resist like Chinese like monetary influence and stuff, or?
Well, yeah, not only that, but the expansion in South China Sea, the expansion into Southeast Asia and all that.
So this is all very hard. This all requires like multilateral like support. You need like countries working together to deal with this. So we have to like get off this fragmented bullshit that the entire world has been tending towards, and we need to start like working together again. Yeah, like all of our relationships have been so damaged by everything, and hopefully we continue to rebuild. I mean, like Australia's important to us, right? Like Australia's literally, I'm pretty sure Australia's like one of the Five Eyes, right?
Yeah.
Like it's important that we work with our allies to get all of that under wraps. I don't have like a good answer for you though. It's an incredibly complicated situation.
It's a little bit specific.
I don't know like I don't know what the correct path forward is there too, because as it stands right now, China can influence and exert pressure over so many different countries that we and divided, none of us can really stand against the monster that is China in and of itself. So like step one is going to be rebuilding our relationships around the world. Yeah.
I agree. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Great. Machiavelli, you're up.
Give me 1 second. Hold on. Okay.
Sure.
Wait, hello? Hello. Hi, what's up? Okay, sorry.
I'll pick some other time. That's okay. Difficult God. Okay, Machiavelli, go for it.
So Destiny, if you could tell everyone in the world one thing, what would it be?
Don't be cringe, bro. I don't fucking know. I don't have like one golden piece of advice for everybody. I wish I did. I'm not sure.
Well, it doesn't need to be a piece of advice. It could just be anything, you know?
Learn to love yourself. That's the most important thing anybody can do in life to be happy. That's probably the most important foundation that you can also have to build off of. I think when you have a good sense of self and high self-esteem and a good understanding of what you are, what you want, what makes you happy, it's harder for other people to get control of you as well. So I think it makes you a better adjusted individual to deal with other people and to deal with the world. So.
Cool. Okay, Java Bolt, you're up.
Yeah, so just to clarify my question regarding Biden and systemic racism, I wanted to know what you thought would be like the most feasible way for Biden to tackle that, such as like, do you think decriminalizing drugs would be like feasible?
Yeah, I think that like the whole DEA scheduling system needs to be fucking totally reworked or just thrown the fuck out. Yeah, I think that legalizing stuff like marijuana and fucking like psychedelic, I think legalizing all drugs, I think on the federal level is good. Yeah, leave it to the fucking states if they want to do some dumb shit with that and stop wasting federal enforcement and everything on it.
Okay. Pseudo, you're up. What's up?
Okay, so my question is, since everyone basically complains about like this stimulus, and they usually also say that we're giving a ton of money, like foreign aid, to like Israel and all these other countries, do you believe that we should give like foreign aid to Sudan and other like undeveloped countries for humanitarian reasons so that they could deal with the lockdown too?
Should we give foreign aid to
like
underdeveloped countries? Yeah, probably it'd be nice to, yeah. I don't know how much we can afford, but yeah, I think foreign aid is probably like an important part of what America does. Right? Yeah?
Is that it?
Yeah, but wait, to add on to this, how much do you like believe we should give them?
I don't know what the number, I have no idea. I don't know like how that number fits into our budget or what that number should be, I'm not sure. I just don't know enough about that.
Okay, thanks, Pseudo. Next question is going to be from this dude I was looking at earlier. Bro Machine. Bro Machine, you're up. Okay, I'll ask a question for him. Since you don't give ethical consideration to people who don't share your ethical views, wouldn't that preclude most of society?
Sorry, yeah, I could explain it briefly. I was just going to say, based on what I understand of your ethical system, it's based on people reciprocating your values. And because it seems like your ethical system is somewhat unique, wouldn't most of society not reciprocate a lot of your values, meaning that you think like most of society isn't worth any more consideration?
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure, like, in terms of how I view ethics, I've got like overlap probably with like 98% of humanity. So I mean, as long as you're reciprocating the important values, then that's all that really matters, right? Like, we may not feel the exact same way on like responsibility of public speech or something, but we're gonna feel pretty similar about like, can you rape me or steal my shit or kill me, right? As long as we have like respect on those levels, then we're probably fine.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot of people disagree with your stance on like property defense, right? So that might be something that you think is important, but a lot of people disagree with. So
I don't
do those
think
people,
so.
would you be willing to kill them?
Depends on the issue, but I think actually most people agree with me. I think they like to pretend that they don't agree with me because they're like ideologically driven in one way or another, but I'm 99% sure that if you lock me in a room with one of those people, by the end of the like hour-long conversation, they'll like concede every single point, or they'll be forced to buy into absurd hypotheticals where they're saying crazy shit like, if a black man is being chased by 10 white people, then the black man should submit to the mob and just be punished because that would be morally righteous. Like, I think that most people will agree with, like, I don't think my stance on property rights is even that like radical. Like, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, have fun.
Okay. How much longer do you have? I don't want to push into your food or your restaurant.
Hey, Steven, your order's been picked up, and your dasher is on his way. I got that 1 minute ago, so they're probably going to be here in like 15 minutes or 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. Next question is going to be from Grim. This is a voice chat question. Grim, go for it.
I was just wondering what your opinion on would be adding for term limits to senators, and if so, what do you think it'd be an acceptable time for one person to stay in office?
I don't know, man. I don't like the idea of term limits at all. Because I mean, like, we live in a democracy. Isn't it kind of weird that if we want to elect a really good president for a third term, shouldn't we be able to do that? Should we? I don't know why we shouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really heard any good arguments for term limits.
Right, other than the precedent being set with George Washington. Thank you.
Wait. Precedent being set with George Washington? Wait, I might be totally dumb.
Yeah, that's the two-term precedent that was set by George Washington. He was the first president, and he only did 2 terms, which set the precedent moving forward. And it wasn't until FDR questioned a third term that Congress added that amendment.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. But anyone could have, but he set the norm. I guess I'm not doing it. Gotcha. Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Doom, you're up. Or Doom Doll. It's not even in the voice channel. I hate these people. Okay, Latex, it's your turn. Latex left too. Oh my god. Okay, then it's going to be Red Viper. Red Viper, you're unmuted. Whenever you're ready.
Hey Destiny, what's up? I was just wondering what you have against Kyle Kalinske. I know you don't like him, but he doesn't seem that far left.
He's an insanely stupid ideologue, and he does the worst thing of any person that I've seen, which is report false facts. It's a very, very obvious and easy one. Most recently is the Amy Klobuchar stuff. It's disgusting.
All right, thank you.
Okay, McFlean, you're up.
So my question is, I was watching a streamer, and he was talking a bit about the Trump presidency, and he mentioned the fact that because of Trump, he kind of pulled out a lot of American influence on Europe, and allowed them to better their economy, be more independent of America. So I was just wondering what your thoughts on that are.
I mean, we don't really want Europe to be more independent of America, right? We want kind of everybody to be pretty interconnected. At least as Americans, we want that influence, right? So
but I'm more economically independent, so we don't need to rely on America.
I'm pretty sure we still trade as much as we used to, right? Has the EU done something to move past if I were to go look up our trade balance over the past 5 years, has it changed significantly?
I'm not sure. I was just wondering what your thoughts are.
I think it's good when people are economically reliant on each other. I think it reduces the likelihood of conflict or war, and it gives us more ability to kind of come together and solve problems.
So the best case scenario would be if we were dependent on each other. So Europe on America and America on Europe.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I think it's healthy for everybody, yeah.
All right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wait, hold on. Hold on. I just read this message in chat. No. Destiny and Doobie won't respond to my question because they both know I'm right. I just called Destiny out for peddling Western propaganda, and he won't respond. This guy's name is Truth. What's his question?
I have no idea. Truth? You're unmuted.
Destiny won't respond to my question about the Xinjiang centers because he knows I'm right. Oh, this guy is one of the Chinese Tankie. He's an ML guy that thinks that China hasn't done anything wrong, that it's all bullshit.
Yeah, it looks like he's saying that the torture is lies and China's rebutted the lies told by the Western media.
Yeah, I'm good on that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm curious. Wait, can I wait? Truth, do you think that Tiananmen Square didn't happen either?
Truth, you're unmuted on the voice channel if you want to speak. No?
Looks like he's scared to talk.
He says, wait, maybe he'll do it.
Okay, fuck. I'm going to look like I'm running from a debate if my DoorDasher shows up right in the middle of this. Just giving me a heads up. So, yeah, sorry.
Okay, Truth, we'll give you 30 seconds to get your mic together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next question. From Puggyman. Puggyman, you're unmuted.
Hello.
Oh, there he is. Okay, cool.
So yeah, the Xinjiang re-education centers are just to teach the Uyghurs how to speak Mandarin and basic life skills.
Wait, then why are they separating them from their kids and shit?
Because it's easier to order them that way. All right.
Wait, you realize you sound like a fucking lunatic, right?
I'm not I'm just telling
I'm telling you that when you say like, oh well, it's easier if we take their children from them because it makes it easier to teach them. No, you realize you sound like a fucking lunatic, right?
No, like a lot of them support terrorism, right? So they need to be like the re-education centers help them.
Wait, how many Uyghurs are there?
There's like 11 million, and a lot of them do support it.
When you say a lot of them, are there like daily like terrorist activities in China that are like blowing shit up?
Search up the Uyghur separatist movement.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that, but I haven't. There's not like massive amounts of like.
It's like ISIS in China.
I don't think that the attacks are on the same level as calling them ISIS in China. Not even close. And the idea that these people are all like extremists that all support this, I'm pretty sure the way that the Chinese media arrives to that is by asking them questions like, hey, like, do you support like Uyghur independence or stuff like this? And then when they answer yes, they call them extremists. Like, I wouldn't rely on the CCP to determine like what is extremism by these people that they're kind of sort of trying to genocide.
I would trust the Chinese Communist Party over like the Western propagandists like BBC, Fox, CNN.
Okay, well, I'm gonna trust the people whose leaders can be like elected out if the citizens aren't happy with them over like an authoritarian regime, but.
But I mean, yes, a question earlier, right? Truth, do you think the Tiananmen Square massacre happened?
I believe it happened, but the numbers are severely overblown by the Western media.
Do you think the Holocaust happened?
Yes, I do.
With the same numbers, or do you think those are propagandized as well?
Oh no, the numbers like the numbers are overblown, obviously.
Okay, gotcha. Do you think that 9/11 happened?
Obviously.
I think those numbers are overblown.
About that, I also must report that like Israel is behind it.
Gotcha. And then, do you think we went to the moon or not?
Oh yes, we did. Okay. With the help of German scientists, because the American scientists, couldn't do it by themselves.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right. I think I got like one more question. I think until the dude gets here.
Okay. Let's see who's last here. I'm gonna say, just do it at random. No, God, none of these questions are good. I'll do it. Why do you think? Because I've noticed that I'm sorry, I've interacted with you in some of these spaces, but I've been on like a lot of like smaller Twitch channels recently, just hanging out, kind of getting pulled into random ass debates about cops and shit. And it feels like you mentioned earlier, right? Like it feels like people are living in totally separate realities.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people still believe that Breonna Taylor shit. A lot of people still think Michael Brown was on his knees and like executed, like shot in the head like 3 times by the cop. A lot of conservatives believe a ton of crazy shit. That's like the day of the Capitol thing. I spoke to a conservative guy who was there, who was like, "Oh, it was Antifa." Then I asked him why. Oh, yeah, I heard it somewhere. What's the? I don't like on this server, right? I do my best to like make it as ideologically diverse as possible, right? Because kind of the idea is that the reason people believe this crazy shit is because they don't interact with people on the other side anymore, right? They don't really interact with people who can just easily debunk their shitty opinions, or like point them to something and have them like teach themselves. But like on a lot of these Twitch panels I've been on, it feels like they're like the left on Twitch is very like opposed to even interacting with right wingers, right? Like in any way.
Yeah, because they hold the power in media now, so now they're like, oh no, fuck them all. We don't want to talk to them at all. Yeah.
Yeah, and that just seems like really unhealthy to me.
Yep, it is.
Because, so like, what do you think is like a good way to? I mean, I do my little part here on the server, right? Because like I grew up very right wing, and the way that I got out of that was just interacting with people, reading articles myself, reading a bunch of like new sources of information that I thought before I was told was like a radical or lunacy. So this is my little project, right? To try to make that happen in some way. But what do you think can be done on Twitch to encourage people, to push people to start interacting more, start talking more, stop shutting people out? Like what's the How would you do that? Because you're like way more.
Yeah, you got to pull people offline and put them in the real world. I think one of the biggest advantages that I have in terms of everything I do, in terms of content, in terms of like understanding things, in terms of like talking politics, is that I lived in the real world before I came to like live online. Like I had real jobs, I went to a real school, I had real life friends from a large variety of backgrounds, from wealthy to middle class to very poor. And I think that having that background like just helped me understand the real world so much. Like you get a lot of kids that like are born and raised in the suburbs and all of their friends are on fucking white Twitter, and then they go to fucking college with the whitest fucking Marxist people in the world, and then like this is literally their entire fucking world. And you can tell when you listen to some of these people how insanely disconnected they are from reality. When they're saying stupid shit like, I don't know why anybody would be scared of a homeless person. You must just hate the homeless. Like, motherfucker, you've never seen a homeless person in your life. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you see some unbelievably white and stupid shit from a lot of these suburban white kids on Twitter, you know, talking about socialism and shit all day. And honestly, I think a lot of it just comes down to people not having like real life experience. Like they haven't gone out and like interacted with real life normal human beings. Like if you try to talk to real life people outside of like the most left schools in the world or outside of like Twitter, and you ask them like, yo bro, like what do you think about like if you go talk to a brown person in the United States that immigrated here from South America, be like, bro, you came from South America, right? Socialism is fucking awesome there, right? Like people will look at you like you're fucking retarded, unironically. They'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And a lot of people, or if you go to like a black neighborhood and you see some responsible black families like, yo, what's up black guys? You guys fucking hate the police too, right? Don't you want all the police gone? Like, wouldn't that be great? Like people look at you like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like you're unbelievably stupid. I don't know. I think people just don't interact outside of the little bubbles online, and because of that, they have these insanely warped perceptions of what most people think. And then you get these socialists online that say this totally disconnected shit, like, oh, 94% of people in America actually like socialism. Oh, 172% of people in America are actually for Medicare for all. Oh, 387% of people in America actually think that every time America has done anything overseas is wrong. Like we just don't see it because corporations hide it, or some really brain dead shit as well, you know? Sorry, that was a long bit.
No, that was good. That was good. Okay, well, thanks for coming around.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed. Whoa, disarm immediately! Am I getting shot at?